Chapter 3846. Hearing that Ling Xiao had killed Yu Jin, Yu Qilong's expression became gloomy and unwilling. The joy he felt after breaking through to the peak, fifth, heavenly core realm had vanished. You don't have confidence anymore? Gu Fenghua said coldly. No, I have confidence. Yu Qilong gritted his teeth and said, I'm just angry. That guy dared to kill Yu Zhen. I'll kill him for sure. Good, as long as you have confidence. You didn't waste my effort in cultivating you. Don't worry, in my opinion, your current strength is at least 10 times stronger than Yu Zhen. Ling Xiao had used all his strength to kill Yu Jin. He is no match for you now, Gu Fenghua said with a smile. Thank you, young master, for your appreciation. Yu Qilong hastily said. Since senior brother appreciates you so much, shouldn't you do something for him? Qing Mashue suddenly said with a smile. Young master Qing Mashue, please be frank with me. I'm a fool, what do you mean? Yu Qilong asked with a respectful tone. You still don't understand? What an idiot. Qing Mashue curled her lips and said, Listen, what senior brother wants is Ling Xiao's treasures, not Zi Qinya's life. You're the one who imprisoned Zi Qinya in the Purple Mansion, Nether Realm, right? You're really stupid. Can Ling Xiao enter the Purple Mansion, Nether Realm? Even if he wants to save him, he can't. If he doesn't show up, how is he going to get the treasures? I think I understand now. Yu Qilong suddenly said, I'll release Zi Qinya from the Purple Mansion, Nether Realm immediately, then make an announcement to the public. 7 days later, I'll publicly execute him. I'll give Ling Xiao enough time to come here. Then I'll capture him on the spot. Not bad, at least you have some brains. Qing Mashue said with an indifferent tone. On that day, senior brother and I will pretend to leave the capital and return to the Dongxing Kingdom. I don't want that little kitten to be too scared to come to the capital. Once he takes the bait, we'll trap him, and he won't be able to escape. At that time, everything he has will belong to senior brother. Although it was Qing Mashue who said this, Gu Fenghua agreed. None of the people here dared to betray him. He believed he could keep this secret a secret. It was absolutely impossible for outsiders to know about it. At the end of the day, Gu Fenghua and Qing Mashue were both overconfident. Moreover, he relied too much on his divine sense, believing that no one could avoid detection wherever his divine sense was. Unfortunately, Ling Xiao was an exception. This was something they had never expected. Thank you for your advice, young lord. This subordinate believes that Ling Xiao should already be on his way here. Although he hated that brat to the bone, he had to admit that that brat was a person who valued friendship and righteousness. You dare to go against my Yu clan for someone unrelated to Gao Hong? For the people of the king's residence, he dared to go to the Purple Spirit capital alone. If it wasn't for the fact that Zilan was too useless and too stupid, the brat wouldn't have been able to escape from the Golden Light Dragon trapping Grand Array. Therefore, he would definitely come to the royal city. At that time, there is no need for the two young masters to make a move. This subordinate will be able to tear that brat into pieces. Vent the hatred in my heart. This bastard really knows me well. Ling Xiao, who was standing at the side, couldn't help but feel delighted when he heard Yu Qilong's words. Of course, it wasn't because Yu Qilong was praising him, but because as long as Zi Qinya was brought out of the Purple Mansion underworld, he would have a way to save Zi Qinya. Even if it was a mountain of daggers and a sea of flames, he would have to give it a try. All right, I'll leave everything to you. Gu Fenghua didn't know what to think, but she seemed to trust Yu Qilong very much. After leaving the palace quietly, Ling Xiao began to think about his next step. Disciple, you heard what they said. This is simply a trap for you. Perhaps you won't be able to save Zi Qinya and might even lose your life. The Yuan Venerate had no choice but to remind Ling Xiao again. In his opinion, Ling Xiao was naturally the most important. Master, I know what you're talking about. However, it's impossible for me to leave Zi Qinya alone. They have their plans and I have mine. Letting Qinya out of the Purple Mansion underworld might be the best bait for them. However, it's also the best opportunity for me. I can't give it up. Ling Xiao shook his head. What we should consider now is not whether to save Qinya, but how to save him. Forget it. Since you're so determined, I'll help you one more time. I'll leave your body for a period of time and modify the array formation of the Purple Mansion Royal City. This is in case of an emergency. This is our greatest advantage. Whether we want to save someone or escape, it's always good to be fully prepared. The Yuan Venerate said. Will there be any problems? Ling Xiao asked worriedly. He couldn't let anything happen to his master just because he wanted to save Qinya. Don't worry, my spirit consciousness is already very strong. It won't be a problem for me to leave your body and protect you for about 10 days. I'll only need 3 or 4 days to set up and modify the array formation. The Yuan Venerate smiled. But what if we're discovered? Ling Xiao asked again. That won't happen. Who do you think I am? Do you think that kid can discover me with his spirit consciousness? The Yuan Venerate had the confidence of a powerhouse. All right, but come back immediately if there are any unforeseen circumstances. Ling Xiao reminded him. Of course, I still have a huge grudge to avenge, so I won't die just like that. The Yuan Venerate left his body after saying that. Ling Xiao watched him leave as he considered his next step. He still wasn't strong enough. Therefore, the next step was to break through. He hadn't used the thief god's inner core yet. He had kept it in his Dongsheng Emperor ring. Buzz! Suddenly, the bloody thunder god jumped up excitedly. Ling Xiao could feel its excitement, because the blood-red thunder god had completely merged with his body. The excitement of the blood-red thunder god was his excitement. The feeling was very obvious. Is there anything good in that direction? Ling Xiao looked in the direction the lightning was pointing in. That should be the Purple Mansion Academy. Ling Xiao had met students from the Purple Mansion Academy when he had just arrived in the 4 great domains. He had also been looking forward to the Purple Mansion Academy. However, he had forgotten about the Purple Mansion Academy for a long time. Now, the Bloody Thunder God had reminded him of the Purple Mansion Academy. Could there be some treasure there that made the Bloody Thunder God so excited? Regardless, he had to go and take a look. If he could make the Crimson Thunder God stronger, then his chances of winning would be higher. He might even be able to improve his cultivation base. He didn't intend to use the Thief God's inner core yet. It would be a waste to use it given his current cultivation base. However, improving his strength was a must. After all, no matter how good a plan was, it couldn't compare to great strength. The Crimson Thunder God had given him a clear path to take. Eternal Emperor Region, Eternal Life Palace. There was actually a palace in a place with very few people. This place was blocked by a powerful array formation. Outsiders couldn't enter, and the people inside couldn't leave. Yu Fanghua's tired face broke into a smile. I never thought that this thing would really be useful. She looked at the book in her hand. It was a book that specialized in array formations. Chapter 3847. That book on array formations was given to Yu Fanghua by Ling Xiao. She had only intended to keep it as a souvenir. But now, she had used this book and spent a lot of time and energy to open an exit in this array formation. Although the array formation was completely repaired as soon as she went out. But that had nothing to do with Yu Fanghua. She had come out, relying on her longing for Ling Xiao. She had broken out of the cage here. White Eagle, let's go. Yu Fanghua called out. The white eagle, which was originally only a foot tall, suddenly grew to dozens of feet tall. Yu Fanghua jumped on and sped away. Let's go to the primordial divine tomb first. Maybe Ling Xiao will be there. Although she had learned from Haim Miankeo that Ling Xiao had left the western region through the dream mirror, but she still had to go and take a look. At the very least, she had to walk the path that Ling Xiao had walked before she knew whether Ling Xiao was dead or alive. Ling Xiao, you must not die. Otherwise, all my hopes and expectations will be gone. Looking into the distance, Yu Fenghua's heart was burning with anxiety. If Ling Xiao had stayed in that small place, she would not have been so worried. But Ling Xiao had actually gone to the western region and then to the 4 great regions in order to find her. How could she not be worried? Sister Fenghua, your heart is in a mess. White Eagle suddenly spoke. It was a sweet girl's voice. White Eagle was a demon beast and could transform into human form. She had been saved by Yu Fenghua before, so she could be considered Yu Fenghua's best sister. Yes, my heart is in a mess. Yu Fenghua smiled bitterly. She had never thought that she would be so captivated by a man and that she would be so flustered. Is that man really that good? Is he worth Sister Fenghua giving up your inner core? White Eagle sighed. White Eagle, keep this matter to yourself. Don't tell Ling Xiao about it. I'm afraid that he'll rush to the immortal palace to seek death. He's that kind of person. Yu Fenghua suddenly recalled the crazy look on Ling Xiao's face when she was taken away. Even in the face of powerful existences like Wang Tianming and Wang Jinghua, he was still fearless. Such a person was really worth entrusting her life to. But sister, without the inner core, not only will your strength be greatly reduced, if someone destroys your inner core, you will also be crippled of all your cultivation. White Eagle could not help but ask, It's not a problem for now. Don't I still have you, White Eagle? With your strength, you can roam the 4 major regions without a problem. Isn't protecting me a piece of cake? Besides, I have the dream reflecting mirror. Even if the Niden isn't in my body, I can still use my true essence. He wouldn't lose too much of his strength. As for the destruction of his inner core, even a vicious tiger won't eat its own cubs. I don't think Father will do that. Yu Fenghua smiled and said, Even if I take a step back, even if my cultivation is crippled, he won't abandon me. Me too, White Eagle said with a firm tone. I know. You're Yu Fenghua's best sister. Yu Fenghua gently stroked White Eagle's feathers. Suddenly, a battle cry sounded out from behind. White Eagle let out a cold snort. Then he turned around and unleashed a frightening aura from his mouth. Nearly 100 pursuers, and all of them were divine core warriors. But all of them were killed. Don't fight, let's go, Yu Fenghua said. Yes, sister. White Eagle was very strong, but he was willing to listen to Yu Fenghua. That was because Yu Fenghua was stronger than him. Besides, White Eagle was her savior. 7 days passed by in the blink of an eye. During this period of time, Ling Xiao had visited the Purple Mansion Academy once, but the Purple Mansion Academy was heavily guarded. In order not to be discovered, Ling Xiao didn't fight. Therefore, he didn't get what the Blood Thunder God wanted. But he had confirmed the location of that thing. It was in the treasure vault of the Purple Mansion Academy. This could be considered as a small reward. After rescuing Zi Qinya, he would definitely come back to this place. It was the symbol of the Purple Mansion Kingdom's highest academy. Ling Xiao wanted to see what was so great about it. After leaving the Purple Mansion Academy, Ling Xiao went deep into the mountains near the Purple Mansion Kingdom's capital to cultivate. He specifically chose those powerful demon beasts to fight. Finally, on the 7th day, he broke through to the peak 4th Divine Core Realm, although he still couldn't break through to the 5th Divine Core Realm. But with this cultivation base, he was confident in dealing with Yu Qilong. It also increased his chances of survival. After all, his strength had increased, but his opponent's strength hadn't. This was his improvement. Not only that, he had also cultivated the Fiend Celestial Seal to the master level. Compared to the minor completion level, it was at least 10 times stronger. This was also the source of his confidence. On the 6th day, Yuan Venerate returned. He looked very weak, so he fell into a deep sleep after returning. Ling Xiao hurriedly gave Yuan Venerate all the pills and treasures that could replenish his soul force. He had a lot of these things as well. They were all obtained from the ancient Dong Xing Emperor and Thief God. It was enough for Yuan Venerate to recover. Master, I won't let your efforts go to waste. I will save Ziqinya and I won't die. Ling Xiao looked in the direction of the Purple Mansion Kingdom. He changed his clothes and rushed towards the Purple Mansion Kingdom's capital. 7 days ago, Yu Qilong announced that he was going to publicly execute Ziqinya. This caused an uproar in the entire Purple Mansion Kingdom. Ziqinya had always had a good reputation. Many people in the royal city knew that she was going to be executed. Many people found it unbelievable that she was going to be executed in public. There were also some people who knew that this was to lure a certain fish into a trap. No matter if they knew or not, everyone was paying attention to this matter. 7 days was enough for the news to spread throughout the Purple Mansion Kingdom. The permanent population of the Purple Mansion Kingdom had reached hundreds of millions. It was really shocking that so many people were talking about it. Yu Qilong accused Ziqinya of colluding with rebels and embezzling the kingdom's assets. During her reign, she obstructed the Purple Mansion army many times. She also schemed to frame the Yu family. In any case, these charges were just randomly thrown around. He didn't care whether they were true or not. Perhaps this was called extreme love, extreme hatred. Yu Qilong liked Ziqinya. This was true, although he wanted to use Ziqinya to achieve some of his goals. However, this liking wasn't fake. It was precisely because he liked her so much that he became so ruthless after being rejected. I'm finally here. Ling Xiao appeared in front of the royal city once again. Anger surged in his heart when he saw the notice posted at the city gate. No matter what, he had already made the necessary preparations. Next, it would depend on how far he could go. To be honest, surviving was much easier than saving Ziqinya. Saving Ziqinya would mean facing the encirclement of many experts. Ling Xiao didn't know whether he could succeed or not. Although he had made all the preparations, in the face of a powerful enemy, many plans could only play a small role. If he wanted to succeed, it would depend on strength. Let's do it. If I can't, I'll use all my strength. I'll use the Sky Tyrant Martial Spirit, Dongxing Emperor's Ring, Crimson Thunder God, and Firestorm Wheels. Chapter 3848. Right now, the Purple Palace Kingdom's capital was truly a tight encirclement. The powerful Purple Palace army had filled every corner of the city. The scene of the public execution was filled with mighty warriors as well. Major General, Lieutenant General, Great General, Marshal, King, and even the Dean of the Purple Palace Academy. Then, there were Gu Fenghua and Qing Moshue. Although they didn't show up in public, they were hiding near the execution platform. They were waiting for Ling Xiao to show up, then they would capture him. When the crowd found out that all of this was just to capture Ling Xiao, a mere 4th-level Divine Core warrior, they were all shocked. They couldn't believe their eyes. Who was this guy? Why was he worth all of this? They would soon find out if it was worth it or not. A huge crowd had gathered around the execution platform. However, in order to prevent Ling Xiao from mixing into the crowd, the Purple Palace Army had cleared the area of 1,000 meters around the execution platform. Within this area, there were only their own people. Actually, many people already knew who Ling Xiao was. They also knew what Ling Xiao had. But facing the mighty Gu Fenghua and Qing Moshue, none of them had the qualifications to fight for it. Therefore, they were only here to watch the show. Perhaps they could capture Ling Xiao and make a great contribution, then be rewarded by the Dongxing superpower. If that was the case, they would be able to achieve great things. Their overall strength would increase tremendously. As the executioner, Yu Qilong just sat there quietly. He had no intention of carrying out the execution. The purpose of today's public execution was just to lure Ling Xiao in. If Ling Xiao didn't show up, it would be meaningless. The stage has been prepared for you. We're just waiting for you. So many big shots are here to support you. You should be happy. Yu Qilong looked at the city gate. His eyes were filled with intense hatred and anticipation. Within a house next to the execution platform, Gu Fenghua and Qing Moshue were drinking. They were chatting while waiting for the execution to begin. "Senior brother, Is it really worth it to kill a tiny little Ling Xiao in such a grand ceremony? Qing Mashiwe still felt like they were making a mountain out of a molehill. Ling Xiao was only a 4th-level Divine Core Warrior. Even if he was a 6th-level Divine Core Warrior, there was no need to do this. It's better to be safe than sorry. I've studied this Ling Xiao before. He is a cunning man. Moreover, his ability was really very powerful. He was able to steal the Eastern Victory heavenly sword from so many mighty warriors. This is definitely not a coincidence. Gu Fenghua shook her head and said, in any case, Yu Qilong and the others are in charge. We don't have to worry. When the time comes, all you need to do is receive the treasure. But with such a grand occasion, will that guy come? Qing Mashiwe refused to believe that Ling Xiao would come for a woman. He will. Gu Fenghua smiled slightly, looking very confident. Yu Qilong, you despicable bastard. Zi Qianye was tied to the execution platform, wearing shackles. He looked extremely exhausted. However, the anger in his eyes did not diminish at all. Despicable? And Yu Mashiwe, as long as I can make a great contribution, young Master Gu Fenghua will definitely give me better things. We, the Yu family, will rise again. As for your Zi family, it's over. You won't be able to catch Ling Xiao. Zi Qianye said coldly. You've seen it for yourself. With such an inescapable trap, don't lie to yourself. If he really comes, even if he has 3 heads and 6 arms, he won't be able to leave this place alive. Even if the 2 young masters don't do anything, with just 10 million Z Mansion army soldiers, a single spit from each of them is enough to drown him. Facing Zi Qianye's scolding, Yu Qilong wasn't angry at all. He knew that today was the lucky day of his life. Not only was he going to achieve great success, he was also going to take revenge. Zi Qianye suddenly shouted out, Ling Xiao, if you can hear me, don't show yourself. Don't show yourself. I, Zi Qianye, can die, but you can't. Keep your body alive and avenge me. After saying that, she suddenly bit her own tongue, preparing to commit suicide by swallowing it. Her inner core was hidden by Gu Fenghua, so she couldn't use a large amount of true core. She could only kill herself in this way. Immobilizing talisman. Yu Qilong suddenly used the immobilizing talisman. He sneered, you don't have your inner core now. This ordinary immobilizing talisman can also make you unable to move for an hour. Just accept your fate. Before we get what we want, you can't die. If the bait dies, it will be a pity. Ling Xiao had actually seen everything that had happened. He looked at Zi Qianye, who was on the execution platform, and walked over step by step. Sister Qianye, I know you won't let me save you. I know you'd rather die than implicate me. But at the same time, I won't watch you die. Ling Xiao's first step was to save Zi Qianye. Only in this way, he wouldn't hesitate to attack the rat for fear of breaking the vases. Everyone present didn't know what was going to happen. Gu Fenghua didn't know either. He was just waiting for Ling Xiao to appear. What he didn't know was that Ling Xiao had already arrived at the execution platform. Ling Xiao would give each of them a surprise. Senior disciple, I don't understand. Why do we have to let the real Zi Qianye stay there? We can just use a fake one. That way, even if something unexpected happens, she won't be able to escape. In the house, Qing Mashiwe looked at Zi Qianye, who was immobilized by the immobilizing talisman, and asked curiously, Ling Xiao isn't stupid. He is a divine core warrior as well. How could he not know about Zi Qianye's aura? If we use a fake one and he doesn't want to come out, wouldn't all our efforts be in vain? Gu Fenghua shook her head and said, Don't worry. I have Zi Qianye's inner core. Even if something unexpected happens and Zi Qianye is saved by someone, we will still be able to save her. As long as we have the inner core, Ling Xiao will definitely come back. Without the inner core, not only would Zi Qianye's cultivation be crippled, she would never be able to form a new inner core. That means she would be a cripple. If Ling Xiao knows this, he will definitely want it. Senior disciple, you're so wise. You've thought of everything, but you didn't tell me, Qing Ma Shue said with a frown. He, Shue. Don't blame your senior disciple. After all, what happened today will determine whether or not your senior disciple can become the Dongsheng Emperor, Gu Fenghua said with a smile. Right at this moment, he suddenly furrowed his brows. He's here. Gu Fenghua's divine sense had been covering the entire Purple Palace Imperial City. But he never expected Ling Zhao's aura to suddenly appear on the execution platform. Boom! When the crowd saw the man on the execution platform, a huge commotion broke out. It was as if a heavy bomb had been thrown into the crowd. Ling Zhao's appearance was too surprising. While they were still guessing whether or not he would show up, he had already gotten Zi Qianyi. Although they were shocked, Yu Qilong and the others weren't angry. No matter how Ling Xiao appeared, the fish had finally taken the bait. Chapter 3849. He really came. Qing Ma Shue stood up in shock. This man is really stupid. That's right, he's stupid enough. However, his cunning and unswerving determination are truly terrifying. Gu Fenghua could clearly sense Ling Zhao's cultivation base. Peak fourth divine core realm. Being able to kill Yu Zhen and Zilan with such a cultivation base was really shocking. Furthermore, this guy was able to avoid his divine sense and appear on the execution platform without anyone noticing. This really surprised him too much. If we were in each other's shoes, perhaps he would be the strongest warrior in the Dongsheng Kingdom. Even my father is no match for him. Gu Fenghua was an arrogant man, and he would never praise someone easily. But today, when he saw Ling Xiao, he actually showed a shocked expression. No way, Qing Ma Shue said in surprise. It doesn't matter whether he is or not. He is already a turtle in a jar. Let's sit down and watch how he is going to be cut into pieces. Gu Fenghua suddenly sneered. There was no if in this world. Compared to him, Ling Xiao was just not as lucky. He had to get rid of this sprout that could pose a threat to him today. But he didn't need to do anything yet. He would let those idiots from the Purple Kingdom kill each other first. A group of vicious dogs chasing after a rabbit. It was quite interesting. He removed the body securing talisman from Zi Qianya's body. Are you crazy? Why did you really come here? Zi Qianya roared out loudly. Sister Qianya, it's pointless for you to roar now. You can call me stupid or crazy. My men are here. Just hide in the Dongsheng Emperor Ring for now. I'll play with these people. Ling Xiao looked at Zi Qianya and spoke in a confident and domineering manner. In fact, Ling Xiao had a crazy idea. That idea was enough to make even Gu Fenghua retreat. It was the Bloody Devil Rat that he hadn't used for a long time. The third level of the Bloody Devil Rat. As long as he unleashed it, it would increase his combat strength by 100 times. But at the same time, his cultivation base would drop from the Divine Core Realm to the Divine Vein Realm. His efforts over the past few days might have been in vain. Therefore, that kind of method could only be used when there was no other way. If he could avoid using it, he would try his best not to. After all, that was not his only trump card. But if it reached a point where it had to be used, he wouldn't be stingy either. In any case, recovering one's cultivation base was much faster than increasing it. He was confident that what he had lost would come back. After all, it was better for his cultivation to regress than to die. What a grand scene. I, Ling Xiao, am just a perfect fourth divine core warrior. At most, he was at the level of a lieutenant general. It is truly a great honor for all of you to welcome me like this. Ling Xiao directly sent Zi Qianya into the Dongsheng Emperor Ring. Then he looked around and laughed loudly. I only have one thing to say. I will leave once I save them. Anyone who tries to stop me will be killed, without mercy. This was a reminder and also a prelude to a massacre. In this place, he would not show the slightest bit of mercy, because if he didn't kill others, others would kill him. He had no choice at all. Ha ha ha. Hearing Ling Zhao's words, the entire crowd burst into laughter. All the warriors from the Purple Mansion Kingdom thought that Ling Xiao was telling a joke that wasn't funny at all. A mere fourth Divine Corps warrior dared to fight 10 million soldiers of the Purple Mansion army all by himself? Was he an idiot? An idiot? Or a madman? But the common people had a completely different view of Ling Xiao. What a young hero! In order to save his friend, he came even though he knew it was a mountain of blades and a sea of flames. Sigh, why didn't anyone do the same to me? That's right, I'm shocked as well. He really came here. He knew someone had set up a trap for him, but he still came here. Still he came. A man like this shouldn't die. But he has no way to live. 10 million soldiers of the Purple Mansion army, and they are all elite soldiers. Even if he dies of exhaustion, there is no way he can kill all of them. I think he might give all his treasures to the young lord of the Dongxing Strong Kingdom. Perhaps he might be able to keep his life. Maybe, but with his personality, would he really do that? All the common people were looking at Ling Xiao. They more or less felt some sympathy for him. After all, Zi Qinya had a good reputation. Since he was the one who came to save Zi Qinya, the common people naturally felt sympathy for him. Right now, Yu Qilong had walked onto the execution platform. He stared at Ling Xiao coldly and said, "There's a path to heaven, but you don't want to take it. Are you trying to become the enemy of the entire Purple Mansion Kingdom? You can't represent the Purple Mansion Kingdom. Your king can't either. Those two grandsons of the Dongxing Strong Kingdom can't either. I don't want to become the enemy of the Purple Mansion Kingdom. I want to become the enemy of all of you. It's as simple as that." Ling Xiao looked at Yu Qilong with disdain and said, "Look at how arrogant you are. Do you think you have a lot of face after being someone else's dog?" With just a few words, Yu Qilong's face turned red, and his heart was filled with anger. But Yu Qilong managed to hold himself back. He knew that Ling Xiao was like a mosquito stuck on a spider's web. There was no way for him to escape. So he pretended not to hear anything that Yu Qilong said. "Ha ha ha! You're the one who's barking like a dog. You know that you can't leave today. That's why you're biting people like that." Yu Qilong laughed maniacally. "Is that so? Since you're so confident, does that mean that you think you can stop me?" Ling Xiao looked at Yu Qilong and said sarcastically, "I can kill your father, Yu Hua, and your uncle Yu Zhen. I can also kill you. Do you dare to fight me one-on-one?" If he was surrounded, it would be troublesome. So Ling Xiao wanted to fight Yu Qilong one-on-one and then find a chance to escape. He raised his hand and the Blood Supreme sword was unsheathed. In an instant, the entire execution platform was filled with killing intent. Countless people felt their hearts tremble. Even the commoners who were 1,000 meters away were trembling in fear. It was as if they saw the god of death descending. You know the Blood Supreme sword, right? It's the weapon that the Blood Supreme sword once used. A spiritual grade, Heavenly King weapon is extremely powerful. When this sword is unsheathed, it will be stained with blood. I wonder who will be the first. The moment Ling Xiao unsheathed the sword, everyone was shocked. When he said that, they were even more shocked. They did not understand. Was Ling Xiao really going to fight with Yu Qilong and the rest? Get lost. If you don't dare to fight, then don't block my way. Ling Xiao looked at Yu Qilong, who was stunned by his killing intent, and sneered in disdain. He used the plum blossom shadow steps and appeared behind Yu Qilong in an instant. He did not want to fight. He only wanted to leave. After all, he had saved them. There was no need for him to fight. There were too many experts here. It was not wise to fight to the death. However, Yu Qilong was unwilling to give up. He suddenly attacked from behind, wanting to kill Ling Xiao on the spot so that he could show off his powerful strength. "You're just a firefly. How dare you compete with the sun and moon? You're courting death." Chapter 3850. Ling Xiao's body instantly transformed into the peerless heavenly rat. After that, he landed on the ground, and once again stepped forward with the Mei Qingying steps. The cold blood sovereign's sword slashed across Yu Qilong's throat. Clang! A large head fell to the ground. The sword had chopped off Yu Qilong's head. The entire scene fell into dead silence. Even the calm Gu Fenghua and Qing Mashue couldn't help but furrow their brows. In their minds, Yu Qilong, who had mastered a 5th-grade Emperor Realm Martial skill and was at the perfect 5th-grade Divine Core Realm, was nothing but a piece of cake. Even if he was no match for Ling Xiao, there was no way he would be killed so easily. This didn't make any sense. Of course, Yu Qilong was still alive. A 5th-grade Divine Core Warrior was a warrior with a golden core. As long as his golden core wasn't destroyed, he wouldn't die. He would only be severely injured. How dare you! General Hua Xiong jumped out and protected Yu Qilong behind him. If Yu Qilong was attacked by Ling Xiao in his current state, he would definitely die. General Hua Xiong, early 6th-grade Divine Core Warrior, I don't think we have any grudges. Ling Xiao furrowed his brows and asked Hua Xiong, We don't have any grudges, but you've gotten something you shouldn't have. If you're willing to hand over those things, I'll let you go. Hua Xiong said coldly, Hee, do you think you have the right to do that? You're just a dog under someone else's command. Your words are no different than a dog barking. Ling Xiao laughed disdainfully, then he turned to Yu Qilong and said, You're just a piece of trash. Didn't you want my life? Why are you hiding behind someone else's back? Do you really think you can keep your life by doing this? General Hua, kill him. Kill him. Right now. Yu Qilong's mind was filled with fear. He thought after breaking through to the perfect 5th-grade Divine Core Realm, he would be able to suppress Ling Xiao with ease. He thought after learning a 5th-grade Emperor Realm Martial skill, Ling Xiao would be no match for him. But the reality was much crueler than what he had imagined. Ling Xiao was no longer someone he could defeat. Therefore, he could only hope that Hua Xiong would kill Ling Xiao. Hand it over or die. Hua Xiong coldly looked at Ling Xiao, revealing a ruthless expression. Ling Xiao laughed coldly. It seems like you don't intend to let me leave today. Since that's the case, I'll make a big scene. The supreme blood sword in his hand was suddenly raised to the sky. A red circle emerged from the sword. It then quickly enveloped the entire execution platform. Everything within 1,000 meters of the execution platform was covered by a red halo. It just so happened to avoid those commoners. General Hua, be careful. That's Ling Xiao's Fiend God seal. Yu Qilong shouted anxiously. General Hua had no idea what the God Devil seal was. He had only heard of the Blood Devil seal. The commoners didn't know what Ling Xiao wanted to do. A 4th Divine Core Warrior fighting a 6th Divine Core Warrior. Is he serious? Looks like he's serious. Was this guy crazy? Shouldn't he be running away now? Even those commoners who sympathized with Ling Xiao didn't think Ling Xiao was Hua Xiong's match. Even if Ling Xiao could chop off Yu Qilong's head with a single slash, but compared to Yu Qilong, Hua Xiong was at least 100 times stronger. There was no way Ling Xiao could win. What a stubborn guy. Men, kill him for me. Hua Xiong didn't want to do it himself. He felt that it would be a loss of face. When an early 6th Divine Core Warrior fought a 4th Divine Core Warrior, it was no different than bullying a 4th Divine Core Warrior. It wouldn't sound good if word got out. After all, he had many lieutenant generals serving him. All of them were at the 3rd, 4th, and 5th Divine Core Realm. There were even some 5th Divine Core Warriors. With so many of them working together, how could they not be able to capture Ling Xiao? Hearing Hua Xiong's order, the group of men immediately leapt towards Ling Xiao. None of them noticed the cruel killing intent in Ling Xiao's eyes. Just in time, a grin emerged on Ling Xiao's face. Since they didn't want to let him go, he had no choice but to kill them all. Bang! The red halo turned everything within its range blood red. The terrifying energy kept expanding. The group of men who were leaping towards Ling Xiao suddenly felt their qi and blood stagnate, and they couldn't continue attacking. They had to circulate their internal energy in order to prevent themselves from being injured. On top of the blood-red halo, strange runes emerged. On top of the Blood Sovereign sword, there were also blood-red runes glowing. The seal of Fiend God had been activated. "Stop right now, or else you'll die today." Hua Xiong had noticed the strange halo as well. The runes were terrifying. He was finally not going to show any mercy. Within this red light, one could clearly feel the suffocating and terrifying murderous aura. It was as if the Blood Sovereign had come back to life. The commoners couldn't see what was happening, but the warriors within the red halo could clearly feel it. "General Hua, don't wait any longer. Kill him now." This is the upgraded version of the Seal of Fiend God. It's even more terrifying than the Seal of Fiend God. If you let him release it, even you will be injured. In order to survive, Yu Qilong's expression changed. He shouted with all his might. "What? The Seal of Fiend God is an upgraded version?" Hearing this, even Gu Fenghua was stunned. The seal of the Blood Sovereign was very famous. This Ling Xiao had not only learned the Seal of Fiend God, but he had also upgraded it. This talent, he was really much stronger than him. The only thing he could be thankful for was that he had met Ling Xiao earlier. This way he could destroy this sprouted organization as soon as possible. However, he still wanted to see how far Ling Xiao could go. He could easily defeat Yu Qilong. Could he even defeat the General Hua Xiong? He didn't believe it. "Hua Xiong, kill him!" Gu Fenghua gave the order as if she was ordering her subordinates to kill a chicken. It was very light. Yes. Hua Xiong gritted his teeth. Then he suddenly took out a war hammer and smashed it towards Ling Xiao's head. Hua Xiong was an early 6th Divine Core warrior, and his speed was incredibly fast. But too bad, his speed was still nothing in front of Ling Xiao. "As a general, you're pretty strong, but too bad you're too slow." Ling Xiao looked at Hua Xiong with disdain. With a light step, he moved to the other side. Within the Seal of Fiend God, he could control everything. Together with the falling plum-clear shadow steps, he was simply unpredictable. "Yu Qilong, farewell. Just stay in that boundless hell and continue your revenge. You'll never be able to take revenge anyway." Ling Xiao spat out these words. His words were filled with disdain and ridicule. Slaughterhouse of Fiend God Seal. Finally, Ling Xiao unleashed his most powerful martial skill, the Seal of Fiend God. At this moment, within the area surrounded by the red halo, blood-red sword qi suddenly erupted. It was like a swarm of locusts. No one was able to dodge it completely, unless they were strong enough to defend against it. Those weaker warriors were instantly pierced into a beehive, and even their inner cores were destroyed. Chapter 3851. Those who were slightly stronger could only try their best to defend themselves, but the wounds on their bodies were still increasing. Most of the warriors only had their inner cores left. Their bodies had been completely destroyed. As for Yu Qilong, he was dead without a trace left behind. His head was chopped off, and his body was severely wounded. There was no way he could defend himself against this terrifying attack. Even the 3 great generals had no choice but to defend themselves when facing such a dense amount of sword energy. Their bodies were bleeding profusely. The only ones who could protect themselves were the Purple Mansion King Qinyu, Death, which Qing Ma Xue, Heaven-slaying blade demon Gu Fenghua, and the principal of the Purple Mansion Academy. Only these few people were left. Ling Xiao suddenly saw something. It wasn't the pendant that the dean of the Purple Mansion Academy was wearing, the favorite item of the Sanguine Thunder God when he entered the Purple Mansion Academy. He actually brought it here. Since I can't escape, I'll just have to give it a try. With that pendant, the Blood Thunder God will definitely become stronger. I might even be able to kill that Gu Fenghua. Looking at the pendant, Ling Xiao's eyes widened. Suddenly, a glimmer of hope appeared in his heart. Right at this moment, no one noticed Ling Xiao's gaze, because they were still in a state of shock. Ling Xiao's single attack had turned the entire execution ground into a living hell. Miserable screams could be heard everywhere. Blood had gathered into a stream and was flowing on the ground. This seal of celestial and demon was too domineering. No wonder it was the skill used by the Blood Sword Lord. But this wasn't its full power. Only when a warrior reached the peak 6 divine core realm could he unleash the true power of the seal of celestial and demon. When Ling Xiao unleashed the same skill again, all those trapped in the red lights would be torn into pieces. This lasted for a full 30 seconds. Finally, the sword energy in the slaughterhouse disappeared. Hua Xiong looked around in shock. Ling Xiao's single attack had killed 10,000 great generals of the Purple Mansion army. Almost all the captains, major generals, and lieutenant generals were dead. Even Hua Xiong and the other 2 great generals were injured. Even the Purple Mansion marshal wasn't spared. A piece of his ear was sliced off. 10,000 people. Corpses were everywhere. The execution ground had turned into purgatory. This made Hua Xiong's expression change again and again. Yu Qilong is trash. Hua Xiong is also trash. He actually allowed that kid to kill so many people. Qing Mashue was displeased. Senior brother, why don't you let me do it? I'll just kill that brat. Junior sister, you're still too impatient. There was no need for that. I really want to see who dares to work for our Dongsheng strong country and not do their best. That Purple Mansion king, Chen Yu, might normally be submissive to us, but he's waiting for us to run out of luck. Therefore, even if he attacks, don't attack. That Ling Xiao won't be able to do anything. Don't worry. Although he could feel the threat that Ling Xiao posed, he was still very confident. However, Gu Fenghua did not think that Ling Xiao could escape. What Ling Xiao relied on the most was the Earth Elemental Golden Light technique. He had already heard about this from Yu Qilong. Therefore, the moment Ling Xiao appeared at the execution ground, he had already ordered his subordinates to cover the entire Purple Mansion royal capital with the Vajra barrier. The Vajra barrier was a Dharma treasure, a spiritual heavenly king artifact. Even the blood sovereign sword in Ling Xiao's hand could not penetrate it. Therefore, it could be said that the Purple Mansion royal city was a huge cage. Once Ling Xiao came, there was no way he could leave. No matter how hard he tried, the final outcome would not change. It's so boring to sit there and watch the show. Qing Mashue's personality was different from Gu Fenghua's. She preferred to be on the front line. Therefore, she did not listen to Gu Fenghua's advice and rushed out. Hua Xiong, you're a piece of trash. With you around, Yu Qilong was still killed. So many Purple Mansion army generals died in battle. How did you manage to become a general? As soon as Qing Mashue appeared, she scolded Hua Xiong. Hua Xiong was already so old. Being scolded like this made him feel aggrieved. However, he did not dare to blame Qing Mashue. He could only transfer all his anger to Ling Xiao. It's my fault. I misjudged this kid's ruthlessness. Kill him now. Hua Xiong hurriedly charged towards Ling Xiao. He did not dare to be negligent at all. He was afraid that Qing Mashue would vent her anger on him. To think that you're a general. Why are you in such a hurry? Ling Xiao sneered. He waved the blood sovereign sword in his hand again. Godfiend Sealback Cave. In an instant, the entire execution ground turned pitch black. At the same time, an ear-piercing sound rang out. Although the ultrasonic attack could not injure the bodies of the martial artists, it could injure the martial artists' souls. Even Gu Fenghua and Qing Mashue were tricked. At that moment, their divine senses were not working. Chance. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Ling Xiao suddenly approached Hua Xiong. Plum blossom acupuncture hand. He pointed at Hua Xiong's acupuncture point from afar. At that moment, Hua Xiong suddenly stopped moving. He just stood there awkwardly. He could not even resist the ultrasonic attack. His soul was shaken to a great extent. However, Ling Xiao did not want to let him go just like that. He took the opportunity to pierce Hua Xiong's abdomen with his sword. He forcefully extracted Hua Xiong's inner core. Then he used the Dongsheng Empress's inner core to devour it. The Bat Cave only lasted for about 30 seconds. It did not cause the terrifying scene of the slaughterhouse. However, when people recovered their divine senses and vision, Ling Xiao was nowhere to be seen. He escaped? That's impossible. Gu Fenghua was also stunned. Previously, he had vowed that Ling Xiao would not be able to escape. But now, Ling Xiao had disappeared without a trace. It was as if he had disappeared into thin air. The Vajra barrier has not been destroyed. He must still be in the city. Search every nook and cranny, and find that bastard for me. Gu Fenghua was about to go crazy from anger. He thought that he had everything under control, but he had been fooled by a brat. He was about to explode. The commoners were all secretly impressed. Good heavens, this Ling Xiao was too strong. He had played so many experts in the palm of his hand. He was too awesome. Although many people were happy, they did not dare to say it out loud. They did not dare to show it on their faces. After all, Gu Fenghua and Qing Mashua were both cruel people. They might even kill them. Senior brother, something's not right. It's only been 30 seconds. Where can he hide? Qing Mashua frowned. That brat has a terrifying escape technique. He can move 10 miles in an instant. 30 seconds is enough for him to hide in many places in the Purple Mansion, royal capital. Gu Fenghua sighed. Senior brother, you don't have to worry too much. That brat can't break through the Vajra barrier. So tens of millions of Purple Mansion army soldiers are searching together. I believe it won't be long before they find him. Qing Mashua comforted him. Gu Fenghua thought so too. Everyone thought so. However, after searching for a while, they obtained a shocking result. Ling Xiao is missing. Chapter 38:52. Impossible. He must still be in the capital. If we can't find him, none of us will be able to sleep peacefully tonight. Gu Fenghua furrowed her brows tightly. He just disappeared? This was simply impossible. How could a living man just disappear without a trace? Young master, why don't we let the students of the Zifu Academy help us search for him as well? Perhaps that guy is skilled in some sort of concealing skill, and he can even completely hide his aura. Among the students of the Zifu Academy, there are some who are skilled in secret skills. We should be able to find him. The Zifu Academy's principal suddenly stood up and said, All right, I'll leave it to you then. Gu Fenghua nodded her head. After that, the principal turned around and walked towards the Zifu Academy. Amongst the crowd, Hua Xiong's eyes flickered with a cold light, but he quickly covered it up. Hua Xiong, Pan Feng, Yan Liang, you three follow him. Gu Fenghua suddenly thought of something. Then she ordered the 3 generals to go to the Zifu Academy together. A smile emerged on Hua Xiong's face, but it only lasted for a brief moment. The 3 men caught up with the principal and arrived at the Zifu Academy together. Seriously, this young master is too much. The principal is a peak 6th divine core warrior. Why does he need our protection? Yan Liang said unhappily. What do you know? Is this called protection? This is called surveillance. Pan Feng said with disdain. This young master, no one can be at ease with him. That's enough. Don't talk bad about the young master behind his back. If he hears you, we'll be in trouble. Hua Xiong reminded. You're right. Pan Feng turned to Yan Liang and Hua Xiong and said, Why don't the 3 of us go have a drink? We can just stay in the academy and drink. I don't think we'll cause any trouble. Just because of Ling Xiao, we can't even rest, right? 3 of us won't do. Let's leave one of us behind, just in case something happens. Hua Xiong thought for a moment and said, Then why don't you leave him behind? Pan Feng said with a smile. Damn it, you 2 only know how to torture me. Fine, you 2 go first. I'll take over later. Hua Xiong said helplessly. Then we'll have to trouble Brother Hua. Pan Feng and Yan Liang laughed mischievously, and the 2 of them found a place within the Purple Mansion Academy to drink with each other. 2 idiots. Hua Xiong sneered and immediately chased after the dean of the Purple Mansion Academy. Dean, what's that you're wearing? It looks quite extraordinary. Hua Xiong asked with a smile. Well, I don't know how to explain it. I thought it was pretty, so I put it on. If Brother Hua likes it, I'll give it to you." The dean of the Purple Mansion Academy directly took out the item that Ling Xiao yearned for in his dreams and handed it over to Hua Xiong. "I don't dare to take it. I'll just take a look." Hua Xiong took the pendant. Suddenly, blood-red lightning appeared in his right hand and merged with the pendant. At that moment, Gu Fenghua, who was far away at the execution ground, sensed Ling Xiao's aura. "He is indeed in the Purple Mansion Academy. Quickly chase after him." Ling Xiao cursed inwardly. In the midst of the chaos, he killed Hua Xiong and then destroyed the corpse, turning himself into Hua Xiong. It was all for the sake of obtaining the item on the Zifu Academy's dean's neck. However, he did not expect to expose himself at this moment. By the time he wanted to escape, Gu Fenghua, Qing Mashuet, and Chen Yu had already arrived. The three of them were really fast. Gu Fenghua didn't say anything, and Chen Yu didn't do anything either. Only Qing Mashuet was furious. She immediately threw a palm strike at Ling Xiao. The terrifying palm strike was extremely fast, and it had a high hit rate as well. Ling Xiao was knocked flying away. He fell heavily onto the ground. "Good kid, you're pretty strong. You can even change your appearance. We were nearly fooled by you. If you weren't so greedy and wanted something from the Purple Mansion Academy, we wouldn't have been able to escape. I'm afraid we wouldn't have been able to do anything about it." Qing Mashua was extremely anxious. Ling Xiao had played all of them for a fool. Ling Xiao, who was lying on the ground, didn't show any reaction. "Don't tell me he's dead?" Pan Feng couldn't help but ask. "I think he's pretty much dead. Young Master Qing Mashuet is a peak 6th Divine Core Warrior. That Ling Xiao is only a peak 4th Divine Core Warrior. There's no way he can defend against her attack." Yan Liang whispered as well. Qing Mashua agreed with what Pan Feng said. Therefore, she didn't pay any more attention to Ling Xiao. Instead, she turned to Pan Feng and Yan Liang and scolded. "You two trash! This guy killed Hua Xiong and disguised himself as your friend. Why can't you recognize him? Now, I'll give you a chance to prove yourself. Chop this guy into pieces and feed him to the dogs." He was just a peak 4th Divine Core Warrior. Even if he didn't die, he would be severely injured by her palm strike. The power of her palm strike was enough to kill a perfect 5th Divine Core Warrior. Therefore, she didn't want to do it herself. Instead, she asked the two derelict generals to do it. Right now, more and more people were following them. When they saw Hua Xiong slowly turning back into Ling Xiao, they couldn't help but sigh. This guy was too strong, but in the end he was destroyed by his greed. Perhaps he had no chance of surviving this time. He was dead for sure. Pan Feng and Yan Liang's expressions were dark. They were unhappy with Qing Mashue's scolding. But they hated Ling Xiao even more for deceiving them. If news of this were to spread out, they would no longer have the face to stay in the Purple Kingdom. The only thing they could do now was to kill Ling Xiao. With this, they might be able to regain their lost face. With this thought in mind, both men looked at each other. Almost at the same time, they charged towards Ling Xiao. They couldn't let this guy be so arrogant anymore. They had to defend the dignity of the Purple Kingdom Army, defend the dignity of the generals. "Kid, don't blame us even if you die. You can only blame yourself for offending someone you shouldn't have." Yan Liang sneered. Both men's attacks were approaching Ling Xiao. Logically speaking, Ling Xiao could only accept his fate of being killed. After being attacked by Qing Mashue, there was no way he wouldn't be severely injured. But in the next moment, everyone was shocked. A killing intent could be seen in Ling Xiao's eyes. He instantly exploded. The sharp sword beam was only a foot away from Yan Liang's back. Even though Yan Liang was extremely strong, the distance was too close. With Ling Xiao's sudden attack, it was impossible for him to avoid it. Bloodlight clone slash. Kill. Yan Liang used all his strength to attack and didn't realize that Ling Xiao could still attack. In terms of defense, he purely relied on his physical body and quintessential essence to protect himself. But this couldn't block the sharpness of the blood sovereign sword. In just an instant, the fate of this general was decided. The 3 bloodlight clone slashes all passed through Yan Liang's body. Yan Liang's pupils constricted. Then he fell to the ground with a clang. He was completely dead. Of the 3 sword beams, 1 pierced his throat, 1 pierced his heart. The last one pierced his inner core. He didn't even have a chance to live. Chapter 3853. A perfect attack. This was the benefit of the Tai Chi Eye. It allowed him to plan his plan so precisely that it was flawless. Every step had been carefully calculated. Even if Yan Liang's strength was stronger than Ling Zhao's, it was meaningless. Damn it, he had to die. Besides, he was only an early 6th divine core warrior. If it was the Purple Palace Marshal or the Purple Palace King, Ling Zhao's sneak attack wouldn't be able to kill them. At most, he would only be able to injure them. Impossible. He was hit by Xue Er's palm strike, but he didn't seem to be hurt at all. How strong is this guy's body? Gu Fenghua was getting more and more shocked by Ling Xiao. This man's intelligence and talent were both top-notch. If this man was allowed to live, how would the others survive? He had to be killed. He had to be killed without mercy. However, after Ling Xiao killed Yan Liang, he didn't stop. He immediately fled with the falling plum-clear shadow steps. What he needed to do now was to find a place and solve the problem of the Blood Thunder God. Once he obtained the treasure and absorbed it, he might be able to break through to the next realm. Once he reached the 5th divine core realm, the chances of him escaping from the capital would increase tremendously. Even Gu Fenghua might not be able to stop him. This was the reason why he risked being discovered to obtain the pendant. The Blood Thunder God was a very powerful trump card. You bunch of idiots, you want my treasure? Sure, come and give it a try. I'll give you an unforgettable memory. Oh right, once a man dies, he won't have any memories. Ling Zhao's cold voice sounded out from afar. The killing intent in his voice made Gu Fenghua and Qing Ma Xue feel a chill down their spines. This man was too scary. They couldn't let him live. Both of them had the same thought. Chase after him, Gu Fenghua ordered. He didn't chase after Ling Xiao immediately because he didn't know what other tricks Ling Xiao had up his sleeves. Therefore, he was just observing. If he knew that the pendant in Ling Zhao's hand could make Ling Zhao's strength skyrocket, he probably wouldn't think that way. Qing Ma Xue, the Purple Mansion King Qinyu, the Purple Mansion Marshal, and Great General Pan Feng all chased after him. Xue, or come back! Gu Fenghua shouted. Qing Ma Xue stopped in her tracks. Senior brother, I want to kill that guy. Qing Ma Xue shouted. I told you to come back. Gu Fenghua's face suddenly darkened. Although Qing Ma Xue was known as the Death Witch, she did not dare act rashly in front of Gu Fenghua, especially when Gu Fenghua was angry. She could only land and lower her head without saying a word. Gu Fenghua's attitude suddenly became amiable, and she said, "All right, you listen up. Blindly pursuing is completely meaningless. Why don't we wait and see? If those pieces of trash can't catch up, we can intercept them from different directions. The effect will be better. Actually, I really wanted to know what other trump cards Ling Xiao had up his sleeves. Don't take unnecessary risks. Senior brother, are you saying that the kid still has some terrifying trump cards that can seriously injure or even kill me?" Qing Ma Xue said in disbelief. "Whether you believe it or not, I believe that my instincts can't be wrong. This kid is full of tricks and can't be underestimated. Don't forget that his transformation technique almost fooled all of us just now." Gu Fenghua's brain was still functional. To be honest, if he forced Ling Xiao into a corner, Ling Xiao would really use something that he would regret for the rest of his life. Gu Fenghua's approach was to let the others, the cannon fodder, force Ling Xiao to use his trump cards. That way, he would have a better idea of what to do. But how can that kid be so fast? Even the Purple Mansion King Qinyu and the Purple Mansion Academy's dean are only on par with him. That's too perverted. Qing Ma Xue's divine perception captured Ling Xiao and the others. She could not help but exclaim, "If I'm not wrong, he should be using the falling plum clear shadow steps." Not only did he obtain the wind fire wheels of the thief god, but he also obtained the falling plum clear shadow steps. That's a 6th-tier Emperor-class movement technique. In addition, that kid is already fast. Chunyu and the dean are about as fast as him. Gu Fenghua's eyes flashed with greed. He had only wanted to obtain the East Victory Heaven Sword and the primordial martial technique. However, from the looks of it, the treasures on Ling Xiao were far more numerous and better than he had imagined. Whether it was the wind fire wheels, the falling plum clear shadow steps, or the powerful plum blossom acupoint strike, they were all fatally attractive to him. At this moment, the Purple Mansion King Chinyu and the Purple Mansion Academy's dean were very depressed. They were clearly much stronger than Ling Xiao, but they could not catch up to him. Ling Xiao obviously did not want to fight. He only cared about escaping and did not know what to do. They could not catch up to him. At most, their speed was equal, so it was completely meaningless. They could only keep running and hope that Ling Xiao's quintessential essence would be exhausted first. After escaping for a while, Ling Xiao suddenly stopped using the falling plum clear shadow steps. Instead, he used the wind fire wheels to escape. The speed of the wind fire wheels was about the same as the falling plum clear shadow steps, but it was more energy efficient and could be used for other things. He did this because he wanted to figure out what was going on with the pendant while he was escaping. At this distance, even if Gu Fenghua personally chased after him, she would not be able to catch up in a short time. If it really did not work, he could still use the vertical golden light technique. What is this kid trying to do? The few people chasing behind him were stunned. He wants to tire us to death. The wind fire wheels consume very little quintessential essence, but its speed is not inferior to the falling plum clear shadow steps. If this continues, we will be the first to use up our quintessential essence. The Purple Mansion Academy's dean frowned. This old guy had been tricked by Ling Xiao. He had a bellyful of anger in his heart. He swore that after catching up to Ling Xiao, he would definitely tear Ling Xiao into pieces. Only then would he be able to dispel the hatred in his heart. Everyone, don't hide anything. Use your pills, talismans, puppets, whatever you can use. This may take a long time to kill, the Purple Mansion King Chinyu said. At the same time, he pasted a talisman on his body. It was called the Divine Travel Talisman. It could increase one's speed and reduce the consumption of quintessential essence. The others all used their divine abilities. Anyway, their speed had increased and their quintessential essence consumption had decreased. Chunyu, who was charging at the front, blasted out his palm in an attempt to knock Ling Xiao down from the sky. However, the defense formed by the three energies of wind, fire, and lightning instantly blocked his attack. Not only that, at that moment, Chen Yu actually felt a wave of dizziness. The wind fire wheels really live up to its name. We can't attack it easily, otherwise we will be the ones to be hit. Chen Yu hurriedly shouted. He could feel a slight wave of dizziness. If the Purple Mansion Marshal or General Panfeng attacked, the effect would be even more obvious. Once he fainted, it would be terrible. Chapter 3854. The chase lasted for half an hour. The corners of Ling Xiao's mouth finally curled into a cold smile. The pendant in his hand disappeared. He suddenly stopped. Chunyu and the others were dumbfounded. A bunch of cowards. Ling Xiao laughed disdainfully. He then looked at Gu Fenghua and Qing Mashue, who were slowly approaching from afar. Qing Mashue, you're known as the Death Witch. You've massacred millions of people in Purple Spirit Capital. You must be very strong. Do you have the guts to fight me one-on-one? There was a reason why he chose Qing Mashue over the others, because Qing Mashue was an impulsive woman and she wasn't very smart. To put it bluntly, she was stupid. Plus, she was extremely arrogant. You want to fight me one-on-one? I didn't hear about it, did I? Qing Mashue chuckled. Are you tired of living? You don't have the guts? Ling Xiao mocked. You're willing to fight for Qing Mashue, who is ranked 10th in Dongsheng's combat strength ranking. So you're just a coward. Trash. Gu Fenghua, why don't you fight me? That woman is trash anyway. You. How dare you call me a coward? I'll kill you. Qing Mashue thought Ling Xiao's words were a joke. But what she couldn't stand the most was being called coward. Also, Ling Xiao wanted to fight Gu Fenghua. He called her trash. If she didn't kill him, she would definitely kill him. If that happened, she would be laughed at when she returned to Dongsheng's superpower. Shui, don't be impulsive. He's trying to provoke you. I don't know what he's trying to do. Gu Fenghua shook her head and said, But senior brother, he called me trash. Qing Mashue said agitatedly. That's right, you're trash. So what if I'm provoking you? I'm just a peak 4th divine core warrior, that's all. Do you think you're afraid of me? Hee hee, not only are you a coward trash, I think that Gu Fenghua is the same. Both of you are a coward. Ling Xiao's words had touched Qing Mashue's reverse scale. Her reverse scale was Gu Fenghua. Although she was furious when others scolded her, she could still endure it. But if anyone wanted to scold Gu Fenghua, she wouldn't be able to control her emotions. Senior brother, don't stop me. I must kill him today. All of you stand aside. Qing Mashue soared into the sky and faced off against Ling Xiao. Gu Fenghua did not stop him this time. Ling Xiao had indeed gone too far. He thought about it. Even if Ling Xiao had some sort of trump card, it would not be enough to kill Qing Mashue. Qing Mashue was a perfect 6th divine core warrior. If he continued to obstruct her, it would probably affect Qing Mashue's martial will, and she wouldn't be as determined to improve in the future. In the distance, many martial artists were watching the show. Their hearing was very good, so they could hear what Ling Xiao was saying. Even if a peak 4th divine core warrior was able to kill a general, he would only be able to do so with a sneak attack. After running for half an hour, he actually had to fight a perfect 6th divine core warrior. Had he decided to give up on himself? No one believed that Ling Xiao was Qing Mashue's match. The gap between their cultivation bases was just too big. Although they were the same age, Qing Mashue was from the Dongsheng Kingdom. She had much better resources and cultivation conditions than Ling Xiao. No matter how talented Ling Xiao was, before he grew up, he would never be Qing Mashue's match. That guy is too impulsive. Someone secretly shook his head. Yeah, give him 1 or 2 more years, and he'll be able to kill Qing Mashue with ease. But facing Qing Mashue now is just courting death. No one believed that Ling Xiao could win. This was simply an impossible matter. Even Zi Qianya was getting anxious. Ling Xiao, don't go crazy. You're so fast. You should think of a way to escape. Qing Mashue is not someone you can fight against. Even with the blood sovereign armor on my ship, I might not be her match. Let alone you. Zi Qianya cried out in shock in the Dongsheng Emperor Ring. Sister Qianya, just sit back and watch the show. If I don't go crazy, I'll go crazy and die. This is the only path I can take. But don't worry, I won't die. Even if I lose, I won't die. Ling Xiao had too many life-saving abilities. There was no need to worry about him. Shui, listen to senior disciple. Don't underestimate him. I think this guy is only 18 years old. Reaching the peak 4th divine core realm at such a young age is already shocking enough. But he's still able to kill an early 6th divine core warrior. I've never heard of such a thing, even in the entire Dongxing Kingdom. No, not only in the Dongxing Kingdom. I don't think there's such a terrifying genius in the entire 4 regions. Most importantly, he has too many tricks up his sleeves. It's impossible to guard against him. Don't underestimate him. Gu Fenghua was worried that Qing Mashue would underestimate her opponent. Therefore, she flew up into the sky and whispered, Senior disciple, please stop joking. With his cultivation base, if he can't even defeat me, I might as well buy a piece of tofu and kill myself. That's just too embarrassing. Qing Mashue said with disdain. Shut up. You're too arrogant right now. Be careful, you might fail miserably. Gu Fenghua was not satisfied with Qing Mashua's attitude. This was a battle of life and death. Qing Mashua was courting death by being so careless. Senior disciple. Qing Mashua was startled. Listen to me, if you don't think you can handle him, just step back. I'll deal with him myself. Gu Fenghua said coldly. No way, senior disciple. Who does he think he is? Senior disciple, you're overestimating this guy. He's not qualified to fight with you. Qing Mashua was surprised. Ever since Gu Fenghua arrived, she hadn't fought. Zi Qinya had surrendered on his own accord. He didn't fight. As for the rest, they were all killed by Qing Mashua. Gu Fenghua was ranked 7th on the Dongsheng combat strength list. There were only 4 superpowers in the entire Golden Heavenly region. The Dongsheng Kingdom was the scariest of the 4 superpowers. Under the Dongsheng Kingdom, there were 300 kingdoms, similar to the Purple Kingdom. In fact, the population of the Dongsheng Kingdom had reached more than 10 billion people. And Gu Fenghua was one of the 7 most outstanding people among the 10 billion people. Who was Ling Xiao to deserve Gu Fenghua's attention? Qing Mashua was actually a little jealous. Being jealous of a man was really something. Not only did she not take Ling Xiao seriously, but she also looked down on him even more. She wanted to prove to Gu Fenghua that in front of her, Ling Xiao was simply a trilobite that she could not care less about. She could kill him with a slap. She took a deep breath and gradually approached Ling Xiao. She wanted to make Ling Xiao kneel and beg for mercy in agony. Martial Soul Barrier. Suddenly, Ling Xiao released his martial soul barrier, Triple Dragon Trapping Talisman. Then, Ling Xiao released the Triple Dragon Trapping Talisman. This was for the sake of time. Since Qing Mashua had taken the bait, this top-notch sparring partner had to accompany him to death. He couldn't let Gu Fenghua save him. Even Gu Fenghua would find it very difficult to break the Triple Dragon Trapping Talisman, not to mention breaking the martial soul barrier. Chapter 38:55. What are you doing? Qing Mashua couldn't help but laugh. I'm afraid you'll run away. Ling Xiao also laughed. Ha! Are you kidding me? Run away? Run away from a little thing like you? What a joke! Qing Mashua was amused by Ling Xiao's words. Do you think you can do whatever you want just because you're a genius? To be honest, you can only be considered a genius in the Purple Kingdom. Reaching the perfect 4th-tier Divine Core Realm at the age of 18 isn't even considered a genius in the Eastern Victory Kingdom. True geniuses are like me and my senior brother. Qing Mashua laughed. You guys are considered geniuses? What a joke if I'm not wrong. 1 year in the 4 Great Domains is equivalent to 2 years in the Western Domain. In other words, you might be 16 years old, but in the Western Domain, you've been cultivating for 32 years. Gu Fenghua is 19 years old, which is equivalent to 38 years old. I don't think you can be considered a genius for reaching such a cultivation base at such a young age. You're just a piece of trash. Ling Xiao hadn't known about this when he had first arrived in the 4 Great Domains. However, after a period of research, he had finally discovered it. The time in the 4 Great Domains was twice as long as in the Western Domain. In other words, time was more durable here. It was just that he couldn't feel it after getting used to it. Later on, he had confirmed it with a Yuan Venerate. This explained why the cultivators in the 4 Great Domains had much higher cultivation bases than in the Western Domain. The laws in the 4 Great Domains were different from those in the Western Domain. Not only were items more sturdy, but time was also more durable. Qing Mashua really wanted to accept Ling Xiao's humiliation. She was clearly an innocent 16-year-old girl, but in Ling Xiao's words, she had become a 32-year-old Annie. How could she accept this? This was even more depressing than saying her strength was trash. However, there was one thing she had to admit. She really wasn't considered a genius. The 4 Great Domains were extremely vast. The Golden Sky domain alone had tens of billions of people. She was only ranked 10th in the Eastern Victory Kingdom. In the entire Golden Sky domain, she was really nothing. As for the strongest Eternal Emperor region, they had even more geniuses. There was also the frightening, desolate Beast region. Many beasts were born with divine core warriors. There was no comparison at all. There were also countless geniuses in the deep-sea dragon field. Not to mention that there were other planes of different sizes in addition to the 4 major regions. The most terrifying one was, of course, the 9-star celestial realm, which was as famous as the 4 major realms. Similarly, there were countless top geniuses. In the end, not only was Qing Mashue insignificant, but even Gu Fenghua was insignificant. Even so, Qing Mashue could not tolerate Ling Zhao's humiliation. No matter what, in the Dongsheng Strong Country, she was definitely a genius. Brat, you sure know how to talk. However, fighting depended on one's means, not one's mouth. Come, I'll give you 3 moves. I won't bully you. Qing Mashue tried her best to show that she was stronger than Ling Xiao. She wanted Gu Fenghua to see how powerful she was. Ling Xiao smiled and said, "No need, I'll give you 10 moves." When the crowd heard this, they were stunned. This person did not seem to have a problem with his brain. Giving Qing Mashue 10 moves? He was really giving up on himself. Of course, they did not understand Ling Zhao's thoughts. Ling Zhao's goal was to let Qing Mashue attack him. As long as he did not die, he could recover. Then he would break through. There was a reason why he chose Qing Mashue. Qing Mashue was arrogant and impulsive. She would definitely look down on him at the beginning and would not use her full strength. Then he would not die. If it was someone else, he would probably have to use life reversal. I'm really interested. How will this Ling Xiao defeat Qing Mashue? Defeat? I think it'll be good as long as he can survive 1 move from Qing Mashue. Everyone's evaluation of Ling Xiao was only 8 words. Brave and fierce, but weak. No one thought he could survive, let alone win. Qing Mashue was annoyed, listening to Ling Zhao's arrogant words. She felt like a fool who had been played. Forget it. If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. After saying that, she suddenly struck out with her palm. This attack was 10 times more terrifying than the one she had used at the Purple Mansion Academy. The palm wind arrived in front of Ling Xiao in an instant. Ling Xiao did not dodge. This palm landed squarely on Ling Zhao's body. Ling Xiao was sent flying. Several of his ribs were broken. Blood spurted out. First move. Ling Xiao got up from the ground and revealed a sinister smile. He casually stuffed a few pills into his mouth. In terms of healing pills, he had more and better than anyone else. For the time being, he did not need to use life reversal or rising from the ashes. He really dares to let Qing Mashue win? And he didn't die from that palm strike? Everyone's mouths were so wide open that they could throw a goose egg in. It was too shocking. This guy had really gone too far with his bragging. Very good. This woman is indeed a peak 6 divine core warrior. She's really strong. Ling Xiao could feel the blood-red lightning roaring in his body. His potential was crazily flowing into his cultivation. Finally, at some point in time, he broke through. He had broken through to the 5th divine core realm. His combat strength had increased by 100 times. However, he had suppressed the aura of his breakthrough, so Qing Mashue wouldn't notice his intention. Qing Mashue, are you trying to scratch my itch? Is your attack so trashy? Ling Xiao said with a mocking tone. Damn it. Qing Mashue was really surprised. Although she had only used an ordinary attack, her attack was so powerful that even an early 6th divine core warrior would die from it. What was wrong with Ling Xiao? How strong was his body? Why was it so abnormal? This time, let's see if you can survive. Qing Mashue decided to use a martial skill. Fist of Death. Her fist was suddenly shrouded in a cloud of black smoke. After that, she violently punched out. The power of this attack was dozens of times stronger than the ordinary palm strike she had used before. Bang! The black smoke enveloped Ling Xiao. This time that guy is dead for sure. Of course. Who asked him to be so strong? Damn it. However, before she could finish her sentence, the black smoke disappeared. It was swallowed by Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao crawled up from the ground and wiped the blood off the corner of his mouth. The energy in my cultivation has increased by 50%. My black tortoise divine physique has also increased to the mid-6th order emperor realm. This woman's attack is really effective. His performance this time was much better than the last time. He only lost a little blood, and he didn't even consume any healing pills. After all, his combat strength had increased by 100 times, while Qing Mashua's attack had only increased by a few dozen times. It was very difficult for her to cause such obvious injuries to him. The second attack, Ling Xiao revealed a disdainful smile. Woman, were you pinned to the bed by that guy Gu Fenghua yesterday? Why do I feel like my limbs are weak? That's all? And you still say you're not trashy? Who would believe you? Chapter 38:56. Qing Mashue was completely infuriated by Ling Xiao's words. She started attacking Ling Xiao crazily. She didn't want to give Ling Xiao any chance to recover, and each attack was stronger than the last. Third attack. Boom! Ling Xiao's cultivation base broke through again. Mid-5th level divine core realm. The energy in his body increased by 10 times. Fourth attack. Fifth attack. Sixth attack. Seventh attack. Eighth attack. Boom! His cultivation broke through again. Late 5th level divine core realm. His strength increased by 10 times. Suddenly, Qing Mashue stopped attacking. That was because Ling Xiao had already fallen to the ground like a pile of mud. Even his body was no longer complete. Qing Mashue's attacks weren't useless. They were extremely powerful. In everyone's eyes, Ling Xiao was basically on the verge of exhaling, no more breathing. Hee, so this is what you get for giving me a 10 attack advantage. I haven't even used 10 attacks, and you're already dead. Qing Mashue had finally vented her anger. His heart finally felt a little better, but something didn't feel right. Ling Xiao didn't counterattack during the 8 attacks. He only defended himself. In other words, he was letting her win. This made her feel a little uncomfortable in her heart. Do you really think you can kill me? Don't you have 2 more attacks? Why don't you use them together? Ling Xiao couldn't even speak clearly, and it looked like he was using a lot of effort. Fine, I'll fulfill your wish. Qing Mashue wouldn't show any mercy. Not only did she want to destroy Ling Xiao's body, she also wanted to destroy Ling Xiao's inner core. Boom! Her martial soul appeared behind her. It was a terrifying witch. Black robe, sharp nails, an ugly face. The appearance of the witch martial soul caused everyone's heart to tighten except for Gu Fenghua. Back then, Qing Mashue had used this witch martial soul to turn millions of people in Purple Spirit City into zombies. Today, she had used this martial soul once again. There's no need for that, right? That Ling Xiao is about to die. The Purple Mansion King Chenyu frowned and said, "There's nothing wrong with eliminating the source of trouble." The Violet Mansion Marshal said, "However, is that Ling Xiao really that scary? If it were me, I wouldn't even be able to withstand a single blow from Qing Mashue's attack. That brat has already withstood 8 moves and is still alive." General Pan Feng was dumbstruck. At this moment, he had even forgotten about the hatred he had for Ling Xiao killing his companions. He was frightened by Ling Xiao's tenacity and perseverance. That's right. It's a pity for this kid. If he hadn't gotten something he shouldn't have, he wouldn't have gotten it. He will definitely become the pride of our Purple Kingdom. Chenyu also sighed. Even though they were enemies, Ling Xiao was someone he truly admired. Meanwhile, Qing Mashue's attack had already landed on Ling Xiao. The 9th move. Ling Xiao's body was almost completely shattered. Even his inner core and heart were exposed. Both of them were the key to a human's body. This move will completely destroy your inner core and kill you forever. Qing Mashue's final attack had used nearly 80% of her strength. To be honest, she felt like she was making a mountain out of a molehill. She had used 80% of her strength to deal with a peak 4th rank divine core warrior, and she had even unleashed her martial soul. She couldn't let anyone know about this battle. If not, it would be too embarrassing for her. Suddenly, she had a terrifying thought. That was to turn all the commoners and Purple Mansion soldiers who had witnessed the battle into zombies. Even the Purple Mansion King and Marshal wouldn't be spared. While she was having this crazy thought, finally, she had used 80% of her strength to unleash the final attack. Many spectators couldn't bear to see such a scene, so they closed their eyes. But then they heard a strange scream. It was a woman's scream. These people opened their eyes in confusion. Then they saw Qing Mashiwe sitting on the ground with a pale face. Blood was dripping down from the corner of her mouth. She stared at Ling Xiao in fear. 10 moves. It's my turn now. Ling Xiao's cold voice sounded out. Suddenly, a ball of flame burst out. Within the ball of flame, a human figure appeared. Everyone stared at him in surprise. After a brief moment, the ball of flame was extinguished. Ling Xiao appeared. He was perfectly fine, but his aura was much stronger than before. He wasn't going to hide his aura anymore. It was too tiring, and he wouldn't be able to fight with his full strength. Peak 5th rank divine core warrior. How is this possible? Gu Fenghua said in shock. Heavens, I thought he was a peak 4th rank divine core warrior? How did he reach the peak 5th rank divine core realm in such a short period of time? What kind of despicable joke is this? Qing Mashiwe was dumbfounded as well. She had worked so hard to defeat Ling Xiao, and only his heart and inner core were left. But in the blink of an eye, not only had Ling Xiao stood up, he had even broken through to the peak 5th rank divine core realm. She felt like she was in a dream. She felt like she was in a nightmare. Everyone else also fell into a state of incomparable confusion. No one could figure out how Ling Xiao had done it. They didn't even know if they were dreaming or if it was real. You shouldn't have attacked my Knighten at the very last moment. You're injured, right? And your injuries aren't light, right? I'll give you a chance to recover. I don't want you to say it's unfair when I kill you later. Ling Xiao looked at Qing Mashiwe with an indifferent expression. Qing Mashiwe's last attack had landed on the 2 divine cores in his body. A lot of energy gushed out from the divine cores. The energy knocked Qing Mashiwe away. At the same time, it allowed him to break through to the peak 5th rank divine core realm. At this stage, he didn't even need the Sky Tyrant martial soul to kill Qing Mashiwe. Finally, he didn't need to be tortured by this woman anymore. Now, it was his turn to torture her. You'll regret this. Qing Mashiwe coldly harumphed. Then she took out a pill and swallowed it. It took her an hour to fully recover. Kid, the stupidest thing you've done today was asking me to heal myself. If you had taken advantage of my injuries, you might have been able to win. But now you have no chance. No chance at all. Qing Mashiwe could feel how terrifying Ling Xiao was. Therefore, she wasn't going to hold back. She was going to use everything she had to deal with Ling Xiao. Heavenly flame, rotting flame, body witch's physique, weapon, fine heavenly king weapon. These were all her trump cards, her most powerful trump cards. Kill. Qing Mashiwe didn't say anything. With a flash, she arrived in front of Ling Xiao. Curse of death. A huge eye suddenly appeared in the sky. It was a blood-red eye. The eye moved along with Qing Mashiwe. Qing Mashiwe waved her staff in a strange manner. A strange red light shot out from the giant blood-red eye. The red light contained a terrifying curse intent. It had merged with her martial soul. She launched an all-out attack on Ling Xiao. When the huge eye appeared, the entire sky seemed to have turned blood red. Ling Xiao looked at Qing Mashiwe calmly and said, "You're too slow." Chapter 38:57. Ling Xiao lightly stomped his foot. Falling plum-clear shadow steps. Beautiful plum blossoms fell from the sky. He dodged Qing Mashua's attack like he was taking a stroll in the park and appeared behind her. Right now, Ling Xiao's body was glowing with a golden light. That was the color a golden core warrior should have. Therefore, the crowd could finally confirm that they weren't dreaming. They were witnessing Ling Xiao breaking through from the perfect fourth heavenly core realm to the perfect fifth heavenly core realm. He held the blood sovereign sword in his hand. A cold killing intent erupted from his body. This killing intent was even more terrifying than the blood sovereign's. Qing Mashue could feel her body trembling, as if there was a thorn in her back. It was as if she wasn't fighting a human, but a god. Looks like senior brother was right. This guy is really strange. I can sense the aura of the beast god from his body. Could it be that he was also one of the legendary beast god martial artists? And the beast god's divine position isn't low? At this moment, Qing Mashue finally understood. Gu Fenghua's judgment of Ling Xiao was correct. This Ling Xiao was even scarier than they had imagined. His body was almost destroyed, but he was still able to come back to life. This in itself was an impossible matter, but Ling Xiao did it. And now, Ling Xiao made her feel the terrifying, killing intent of the beast god. She could not believe it, but Qing Mashue still believed that her strength was stronger than Ling Xiao's. Ling Xiao's potential hadn't been fully unleashed, so there was no way he was stronger than her. We've already exchanged 10 moves, so don't think that you won't be injured. Blood Light Clone Slash. After dodging Qing Mashua's attack, Ling Xiao immediately swung the Blood Sovereign Sword and unleashed a powerful 5th Order Emperor Realm martial skill. Qing Mashue quickly activated the huge Blood Red Eye and unleashed a bright light to defend herself. Bang! A loud explosion sounded out. Both of them took a few steps back at the same time. It was a draw. How is this possible? Even if I reacted hastily, my death curse is a 6th Order Emperor level martial skill. His martial skill is merely at 5th Order Emperor realm. Yet, he managed to fight me to a draw. How can this guy be so terrifying? The more Qing Mashue killed, the more shocked she became. He was shocked, and the spectators were shocked and incredulous. At this moment, everyone felt as if they had forgotten to breathe. All of their attention was focused on this battle. This scene made people feel that it was very strange. It was an incredible battle. Double curse. Qing Mashue refused to give up and unleashed 2 death curses at the same time. The accumulated power had almost reached the offensive power of a mid-6th level emperor grade martial skill. Is your attack only at this level? What a pity. Blood Devil Seal. Ling Xiao stabbed out with his sword, using the most ordinary Blood Devil Seal. However, it was still a high-grade 5th level Emperor class martial skill. A blood-red sword mark actually broke through the 2 rays of curse light. It pierced Qing Mashue's body. Qing Mashue cried out in surprise. She was injured again. Although the injury wasn't serious this time, it was too embarrassing. How despicable. Witch's body. Qing Mashue was originally unwilling to use the witch's body. It was too ugly for a beauty like her. She was unwilling to use such a transformation, especially in front of Gu Fenghua. However, the problem was that if she didn't use it, she might really lose to Ling Xiao. She couldn't accept such an outcome. Gradually, her entire body began to change. Her entire being became as ugly as her martial soul. However, everyone could feel it. Her strength was rapidly increasing. Ling Xiao, you're really powerful. You forced me to use the witch's body. Even if you die, you should be satisfied. Her eyes were filled with intense hatred and murderous intent. Boom! A terrifying aura of death erupted in the entire martial soul barrier. A huge and strange black skull appeared on Qing Mashue's magic staff. The skull burned with an intense, rotting flame. The rotting flame was an unusual flame that could corrode everything it touched. It would then destroy everything. The skull slowly floated up into the air, emitting a terrifying aura of death. Even those who weren't fighting could feel the threat of death. Their faces darkened. I didn't expect Shui, or to use the witch's body in order to kill Ling Xiao. The rotting flame unleashed by the witch's body is so powerful that even I can feel threatened by it. As for martial artists of the same cultivation level, they were even more invincible. With this attack, that Ling Xiao won't have a chance to survive, Gu Fenghua murmured to himself. However, even he wasn't sure about it. Ling Xiao's ability was too surprising. Every single time, it would bring a huge shock to everyone. Looking at the skull burning with the rotting flame in the air, Ling Xiao's expression was still as calm as ever. He had said it before the torture had ended. He had risked his body being completely destroyed and raised his cultivation level to the perfect 5th heavenly core realm. He wasn't going to continue being beaten. Right now, he had the absolute strength to fight Qing Mashue. Of course, he had to admit it. Qing Mashue's attack was indeed powerful. Aside from the Fiend Celestial Seal, he couldn't think of any other attack that could defend against it. Perhaps even the Firestorm Wheels couldn't defend against such a terrifying attack. Therefore, he decided not to waste it. He didn't want the Firestorm Wheels to be destroyed. Qing Mashue, you and I don't know each other. There's no grudge between us. But not only did you kill millions of my people, you even used despicable means to kill my friends, Zi Qinya and Zi Long. And now you want to kill me. Today, I don't care who you are, I'm going to kill you. Ling Xiao's voice was unhurried. He could feel that his opponent's attack was still condensing, and it wasn't time to unleash it yet. You're different from me. You fight purely for the sake of killing. As for me, I fight to protect what I want to protect. Our beliefs are completely different. Therefore, you're going to lose today. Lose? I, Qing Mashue, will never lose. At least, I won't lose to you. You can go to hell now. Boom! Finally, the terrifying skull finished condensing. The rotting flame enveloped it, making it look like a small sun occupied by the rotting flame. The rotting sun blasted toward Ling Xiao. Powerful, terrifying. It was filled with a sinister aura, especially the skull's open mouth. It contained the most terrifying energy of the rotting sun. The heavenly fire suppression even penetrated the martial soul barrier and made the people outside feel it. Qing Mashue is so powerful. I'm really no match for her. Under such a terrifying attack, this king can only die. Chunyu was shocked. He didn't care about Qing Mashue at first. That was because Qing Mashue had the same cultivation level as him. He was afraid of Qing Mashue purely because of Gu Fenghua. If not for Gu Fenghua, he would have killed Qing Mashue long ago. However, at this moment, he realized that even 10 of him wouldn't be a match for Qing Mashue. She was ranked 10th on the Dong Sheng Combat Strength list. She lived up to her name. Chapter 3858. A Gift from the Death Witch. Qing Mashue's ear-piercing scream could be heard. At this moment, Ling Xiao felt like everything around him had disappeared. In his eyes, there was only the green, rotting flame and the terrifying laughter. He was like a lone traveler in a desert. A green sun was falling down from the sky towards him. Once it landed, his entire body would be completely destroyed. She's really strong, Ling Xiao exclaimed. Qing Mashue's attack was much stronger than Zi Qinya's. Even with the Blood Sovereign armor, Zi Qinya was still no match for Qing Mashue. This girl was indeed a genius from the Dongsheng Great Kingdom, ranked 10th on the Dongsheng Combat Strength list. But even so what? Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with disdain. If Qing Mashue had used this attack earlier, perhaps he wouldn't have been able to fight until now. He might just run away like a wisp of smoke. But now he was a perfect 5th level divine core warrior. Why would he care about Qing Mashue's attack? Which, today you will meet your end. Ling Xiao looked at the falling green sun with pride. He knew Qing Mashue could hear him. The sun god's blood in his body was awakening under such terrifying pressure. Previously, it was only 1 out of 1,000. But right now, the sun god's bloodline had skyrocketed. After such a long time of accumulation, Finally, Ling Xiao had reaped the fruits of his labor. The sun god's blood had reached 1 out of 100. It was a tenfold increase. The tenfold increase in the sun god's blood had brought Ling Xiao a 100-fold increase in his combat strength. It was more than enough to crush Qing Mashue. He was infinitely close to Gu Fenghua. Ordinary 7th-level divine core warriors were no match for him. But Gu Fenghua was a little special. She was a genius, and she was able to fight those above her level. Therefore, compared to Gu Fenghua, she was at least a dozen times weaker. The increase in combat strength was only one aspect. The most important aspect was the increase in the toughness of his body. Because of this, his black tortoise divine body had reached the 7th Order Emperor realm. In other words, a 7th Order Emperor grade martial skill wouldn't be able to harm him at all. In addition, his speed and soul force had all increased. It was as if he had been reborn. The blood of the sun god is indeed powerful. Qing Mashue, oh Qing Mashue, I really have to thank you. If it wasn't for you, I might not have had such a shocking breakthrough today. Ling Xiao lifted the blood sovereign sword gently as he sensed the terrifying power. Originally, he had planned to use the Fiend God Seal in this final clash. But now it seemed that there was no need for that. The awakening of the sun god's blood caused his strength to soar. Now, even if he only used a 5th-level Emperor grade martial skill, he could still kill Qing Mashue. Blood light clone slash. Ling Xiao only spat out a few indifferent words. Then a sword soared into the sky. 3 streaks of sword light pierced through the air. The terrifying sword light was clearly much stronger than usual, and it directly pierced into the huge skull. Crack! A cracking sound was heard. That huge skull actually shattered with a loud sound. It turned into countless fragments and fell like a meteor. I told you everything is over. Ling Xiao looked disdainfully at Qing Mashue, who was frozen in midair, dumbfounded. None of this is real. How is this possible? My most powerful attack was actually so easily destroyed by him. This is impossible, impossible. Nothing is impossible. You're just a frog at the bottom of a well. How many miracles have you seen? Ling Xiao looked disdainfully at Qing Mashue and said, It's time to end this. You should no longer have the strength to launch the same attack. To thank you for what you've done to me today, I'll give you a quick one. You won't have to suffer. You'll disappear from this world in an instant. He could sense that Qing Mashue was at the end of her rope. Ling Xiao, let her go, and I'll let you leave alive. Gu Fenghua suddenly spoke. His eyesight wasn't bad. He could tell that Qing Mashue was no match for Ling Xiao at all. He didn't know why Ling Xiao had suddenly become so terrifying. But no matter what, he couldn't let Qing Mashue die. She was his woman. How can you be so shameless? Why should I listen to you? Ling Xiao looked at Gu Fenghua mockingly and said, If you can break this martial soul barrier, then you can ask me to let her go. But what can I do? Even you would need at least an hour to break the 3 dragon trapping talismans and the martial soul barrier. During this time, Qing Mashue must have been deader than dead. You should know that she's the disciple of the Dongsheng Emperor. You know very well what the consequences will be if you kill her. I don't need to say more. Even if you escape to the ends of the earth, as long as you're in the Dongsheng Strong Nation, you can forget about living. Gu Fenghua said coldly. This person's self-restraint was really good. Ha ha ha, what a joke. Do you think you'll let me go if I don't kill her? Before you threaten others, you should think of a plan. Don't hurt yourself. Ling Xiao laughed maniacally. The Dongsheng Emperor. He originally didn't want to be enemies with this emperor. But this person actually sent his disciple to steal his things and destroy the country of his dreams. He killed the people he had already acknowledged. Most importantly, among those people, there was a friend who foolishly followed him to the small purple spirit nation. Although that person was very weak, but he was still a friend. How could Ling Xiao not avenge his friend? Senior brother, I don't want to die. Qing Mashue was completely flustered. She had long lost her arrogance and smugness. She was extremely terrified. If she had known that Ling Xiao was so terrifying, she wouldn't have attacked Ling Xiao even if she was beaten to death. But now it was all too late. Ling Xiao didn't even give face to her senior brother, Gu Fenghua. What should she do? No need to beg. You don't have a chance anymore. Ling Xiao slowly raised up the blood sovereign sword. Then, a bright light emerged from beneath his feet. Slash! The blood sovereign sword pierced into Qing Mashue's dantian. Qing Mashue's inner core was absorbed by Ling Xiao and merged into the two divine pills. No, no, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Qing Mashue's face instantly turned old. She slowly turned into a shriveled shell. She died a horrible death. Silence. The entire place was dead silent. Before this battle, Ling Xiao was thought to have only one path, death. There was no second possibility. In many people's eyes, although Ling Xiao was brave, he was just a brute, a brainless fool. But now, the terror that Ling Xiao displayed had already struck terror into everyone's hearts. Perfect fourth heavenly core realm, breaking through to the perfect fifth heavenly core realm, then killing a perfect sixth heavenly core warrior. Didn't this kind of thing only happen in novels? Chapter 3859. Such terrifying potential. If this person stays with Gu Fenghua and Qing Mashue in the Dongsheng imperial family, he will definitely be ranked first. I believe he will definitely become number 1 on the Dongsheng combat strength list. Freak. Demon. Inhuman. All sorts of praises rang out in everyone's hearts. They didn't dare to say it out loud, but it didn't mean that they didn't dare to think about it. Gu Fenghua's face was like the bottom of a pot that had been smeared with black ash. It was extremely gloomy. He looked at Ling Xiao, and a murderous aura bloomed from his body. I will definitely kill you. Kill me? Qing Mashue said the same thing. But now, don't you think you might walk the same path as her? Ling Xiao looked at Gu Fenghua indifferently. Because of the sudden awakening of the sun god's blood, Gu Fenghua didn't seem so scary in his eyes. At the very least, she wasn't so far away. Although he was still no match for Gu Fenghua under normal circumstances. It was impossible even if he used the Sky Tyrant Martial Soul. But he was fully qualified to fight with her. Unlike before, all he could do was to run. Gu Fenghua looked at Ling Xiao. The most difficult thing to understand was the scene of Ling Xiao being reborn from the ashes. That was beyond his understanding. This guy who was on the verge of death was alive and kicking again in the blink of an eye. Even his true origin had recovered to its peak. How was that possible? He wasn't the only one who thought so. The others thought so too. But most people's thoughts were skewed. I think Ling Xiao must have some kind of treasure on him that can bring someone back from the dead. That's right. Why didn't I think of that? He obtained the treasures of the Dongsheng ancient emperor and the thief god. Maybe there is such a treasure in there. The more they thought about it, the more likely it was. Hand over everything you have, and I can spare your life, Gu Fenghua suddenly said. It was as if he had forgotten about Qing Mashue's death. He is indeed a heartless person. He can forget about his woman's death for those things. Hearing Gu Fenghua's words, Ling Xiao's impression of this guy worsened. So be it. I believe that even if Xue were alive, she would definitely do the same. Her greatest wish in life was to make me stronger and take over the position of the Dongsheng emperor. Sit on the throne, Gu Fenghua said calmly. TSK. Look at the face of this hypocrite. To actually be able to say such shameless words in such a dignified manner. I really admire you. Ling Xiao really had to hand it to Gu Fenghua. How thick-skinned. How shameless. You can say whatever you want. It's true that your triple dragon trapping talisman is very powerful. Your martial spirit barrier is also very strong, not bad. But it won't take me more than 10 minutes to break it. Do you think you can sit back and relax just because you're hiding inside? Gu Fenghua didn't care about what Ling Xiao said at all. Perhaps he had always been a heartless and unrighteous person. Why would he care so much? Hee, do you think I'm relying on this thing? Ling Xiao revealed a hint of disdain. Of course, if it was before the awakening of the Zishan's blood, he might really have to rely on the dragon trapping talisman and the martial spirit barrier to protect himself for a period of time. But now there was no need for that. It was true that he wasn't as good as Gu Fenghua, but the gap wasn't that big. As he spoke, he removed the dragon trapping talisman and the martial spirit barrier. Gu Fenghua didn't make a move, but was ready at all times. If he could peacefully obtain the things in Ling Xiao's hands, he didn't want to fight to the death, because he could already feel how terrifying Ling Xiao was. To deal with such a person, he couldn't use force. He had to use underhanded methods. As for how to deal with Ling Xiao, he had already thought about it. The only thing he was worried about was that Ling Xiao wouldn't take the bait. I don't want much. Just give me the Dongsheng Heavenly Sword, the immemorial martial skill, the wind fire wheel, and the treasure that can let you rise from the ashes. As for the rest, you can keep it. I promise, as long as you give me these 4 things. My junior sister's death can be written off. I can even recommend you to join the Dongsheng royal family and become my master's disciple. Address me as your brother. Gu Fenghua tried his best to appear sincere. However, this made Qinyu and the others stunned. Could it be that even young Master Gu Fenghua is afraid of this person? Is that why he made such a request? They were really dumbfounded. No matter how strong Ling Xiao was, this shouldn't be necessary, right? After all, Gu Fenghua was an earth core expert. Seeing that Ling Xiao didn't answer, Gu Fenghua continued, Your strength has indeed increased very quickly. But if I'm not wrong, you've already exhausted all the potential you've obtained. Next, your cultivation breakthrough won't be so fast. Therefore, what happened to my junior sister, Qing Ma Xue, definitely won't happen to me. You're too weak. You should understand the principle of treasuring a jade ring becomes a crime. I'm not killing you now because I cherish your talent. Now that a junior sister has died, I have to give Master an explanation. What if I don't give it to you? Ling Xiao asked. If you're stubborn, then I'll have to do it myself today. Once I do, you'll lose your only chance of survival. Do as you see fit. I definitely won't show mercy. Gu Fenghua said coldly. Hurry up and agree. What are you hesitating for? You only need to hand over 4 things in exchange for such great power. Isn't that good enough? The onlookers were all anxious for Ling Xiao. They felt that the people from the Dongsheng strong country wouldn't go back on their words. Since they had agreed to let Ling Xiao go, they would definitely keep their promise. Moreover, looking at young Master Gu Fenghua's expression, it seemed that he really cherished Ling Xiao's talent. They wanted Ling Xiao to agree to Gu Fenghua's request. They felt that it would be a pity if a genius like Ling Xiao died just like that. Tell me your choice. I'll wait here. 1 is the great path of light. You can soar from now on. Perhaps the things you obtain in the future will be better than what you give me. The other is a complete train of thought. Without light, without hope, you will completely end your path of martial arts. Gu Fenghua released a powerful aura. That was the terrifying aura of an Earth Core realm expert. The power of the Earth was mobilized. It formed a terrifying force field. Gu Fenghua did this to increase the pressure on Ling Xiao and make Ling Xiao agree to his conditions. If Ling Xiao agreed, he would naturally bring Ling Xiao to the Dongsheng royal family. However, after going there, whether Ling Xiao lived or died, he wouldn't care. He didn't go back on his word. Even if Ling Xiao died, it would be normal. After all, the competition in the Dongsheng strong country was very fierce. Many cultivators became the disciples of the Dongsheng emperor. They might be killed by their fellow disciples. Reality was so cruel. It was no different from many sects. Chapter 3860. Ling Xiao, you're a smart man. You should be able to make the right choice. Don't risk your life for a few things. It's not worth it. Gu Fenghua's eyes were filled with killing intent. If Ling Xiao didn't agree, he would have to do it himself. Letting this scourge continue to live would be a great threat to him. Hurry up and agree. Don't be so stubborn. You've already done well. That's right. This is the best outcome. The onlookers were all trying to persuade Ling Xiao. No one knew if it was out of concern for Ling Xiao or if it was to help Gu Fenghua. What should I do, Gu Fenghua? You didn't give me the choice I wanted the most. Ling Xiao suddenly laughed. What choice do you want? As long as I can give you something, I'll give it to you, Gu Fenghua said. I want your life. Before he finished speaking, Ling Xiao suddenly turned into a blood-red lightning bolt and pounced on Gu Fenghua. You're courting death. Gu Fenghua activated his True Yuan and was about to meet the attack. However, he found that Ling Xiao was just faking it. Ignoring him completely, he sped off in a certain direction. What's that place? Gu Fenghua turned around and chased after him. The camp of the Purple Mansion Army. The Purple Mansion, Marshal said. After him. They didn't know why Ling Xiao was going to the camp of the Purple Mansion Army. However, they all knew that Ling Xiao wouldn't do something so useless. Since he chose to go, there must be something else. Everyone followed behind him. The stronger ones went faster, while the weaker ones went slower. Soon, they arrived at the camp of the Purple Mansion Army. When Gu Fenghua caught up with Ling Xiao, he found that Ling Xiao was standing in front of a huge skeleton. The skeleton looked more like a giant bull demon. It held 2 axes in its hands, and blood-red lightning flashed all over its body. The lightning looked like a divine dragon coiling around it. This bull demon had taken the blood-red divine dragon as a pet? Except for the members of the Purple Mansion Army, everyone else was shocked by the scene. Gu Fenghua also felt an uneasy aura coming from this strange skeleton. At this moment, Ling Xiao's hand was pressed against the demonic bull's corpse. She turned around and looked at Gu Fenghua with contempt. That uneasy aura became more and more obvious. Qinyu, what is going on? Gu Fenghua asked cautiously. In all the camps of the Z Mansion Army, there is a corpse of a demonic beast brought back from the bloodthirsty battlefield, which is used to help the soldiers comprehend the cultivation method of the evil qi. However, this one was a little special. This skeleton was dug out from a secret realm in the bloodthirsty battlefield. Because the baleful aura was extremely terrifying, it was left in the headquarters of the Z Mansion Army. Chen Yu explained. I see. But what is Ling Xiao doing here? Gu Fenghua was still confused. We don't know either. Qin Yu and the others shook their heads. They didn't know what the corpse, which had been sleeping for tens of thousands of years, was for. A bunch of fools. They have such a treasure, but don't know how to cherish it. Ling Xiao couldn't help but curse inwardly. This terrifying skeleton was also guided here by the blood-colored thunder god. That pendant seemed to be the energy of the blood-colored thunder god. And this skeleton was the true body of the blood-colored thunder god. If they were combined, he didn't know how great the effect would be. If he wanted to defeat Gu Fenghua, he had to make himself stronger. Therefore, he felt that it was necessary to try any method to increase his strength. Boom! Suddenly, a terrifying sound was heard. A blood-colored beam of light shot up to the sky from the originally sleeping skeleton. It enveloped Ling Xiao and the demonic bull's corpse. A terrifying, baleful aura burst out. Everyone was so shocked that they hurriedly dodged. Only Gu Fenghua stood there without moving. When the baleful aura rushed over, it was knocked away by his aura. Even so, Gu Fenghua's face was still somewhat unsightly. He was careless. Too careless. He had never imagined that the Purple Mansion Army would have so many terrifying treasures that could increase Ling Xiao's strength. Roar! A terrifying roar came from the blood-colored beam of light. Everyone seemed to see the phantom of a huge demonic bull appear. The terrifying pressure was even stronger than before. Countless people covered their ears and closed their eyes, urging their true essence to protect themselves. They didn't want to bleed to death. Could it be that the demonic bull's corpse is alive? Impossible. The demonic bull's corpse has been here for thousands of years. Even the blood-colored sword, Lord, couldn't change it. How did Ling Xiao do it? But he did it. This guy is simply a miracle worker. If he doesn't die, the 4 territories will become his world. Everyone gradually recovered from their fear. Their eyes were wide open as they stared at the blood-colored beam of light. They could feel a supreme fear in the depths of their hearts. It was the pressure of a god, the pressure of the Black Tortoise Continent's beast god. That's right, Ling Xiao also felt it. The full name of the demonic bull in front of him should be the blood-colored demonic bull. It had a high-level beast god divine position. It was a high-level beast god divine soul. It was the beast god divine martial soul that countless warriors in the 4 territories dreamed of. If it was someone else, they wouldn't be able to subdue such a terrifying thing. But Ling Xiao was different. Ling Xiao had the beast god divine martial soul, and it was the primordial divine soul. Above the high-level divine positions were supreme divine positions and master divine positions. Next were the 12 primordial divine positions. Not only did Ling Xiao have the 12 primordial divine positions, he also had the sun god divine soul, the ox god divine soul, and the incomplete yu god divine soul. These 3 divine souls were all primordial divine souls. The ox god's primordial divine soul belonged to the same series as the blood lightning demonic bull's high-level divine soul, but it was even stronger. Therefore, the blood lightning demonic bull's divine soul could only submit in front of it and didn't dare to resist. The blood-colored light continued to be released. Then, blood-colored lightning began to fall from the sky. Gu Fenghua, who originally wanted to stop Ling Xiao, was forced to retreat by the blood-colored lightning. This made him feel a little terrified. What kind of power was this? How could it be so strong that it could make him feel terrified? Right at this moment, those who were slower than him had already witnessed this terrifying scene. Above the Purple Palace Army's campsite, dark clouds were gathering and blood-colored lightning was falling from the sky. It was a strange scene. No wonder the blood lightning god led me here. The lightning on the blood lightning demonic bull's body must be formed by it. It was able to merge with the blood divine dragon and turn it into its own strength. The blood lightning demonic bull's strength was unimaginably strong. But too bad, with Ling Xiao's current cultivation, he couldn't obtain such a powerful divine soul. Therefore, even if the blood lightning demonic bull was subdued by him, it could only display the strength of a 9th heavenly core divine core beast soul. Just like the other divine soul, it couldn't surpass this limit. Suddenly, a scene emerged in Ling Xiao's mind. This scene should be the blood lightning demonic bull's past. Chapter 3861. Tens of thousands of years ago, there was a king in the bloodthirsty battlefield. He was 10 meters tall and had blood-colored lightning dragons coiling around his huge body. He held 2 huge axes in his hands and controlled the most terrifying territory in the bloodthirsty battlefield. He was the king of the bloodthirsty battlefield, the ruler. Countless human warriors stepped into the bloodthirsty battlefield one after another in an attempt to kill him. However, no one had ever succeeded. No matter how many people entered, they would all die. His strength caused the people of the world to be terrified. At that time, the bloodthirsty battlefield was almost a forbidden area. Entry was strictly forbidden. Fortunately, the blood lightning bull demon did not intend to enter the modern world to cause destruction. Therefore, both sides could live in peace. Later, the world changed and the earth collapsed. The complete mystic world fell apart. It turned into 13 continents. At that time, new laws were born in the Black Tortoise Continent. Beast gods appeared. The strongest among them were the 12 primeval beast gods. The blood lightning bull demon was unlucky. It was at that time that it encountered a natural disaster. A drop of strange resin fell from the sky and wrapped around it. No matter how hard it struggled, it was useless. In the end, it turned into a huge fossil. The blood lightning bull demon did not lose to anyone, but lost to nature. Sure enough, Nature was the most powerful existence. It was no wonder that countless people desperately wanted to become one with heaven and earth. To become one with heaven and earth. So that's how it is. This guy is actually such a fierce existence. It seems that he is suitable to become one of my beast souls. Ling Xiao had not used the beast soul of the ox god for a long time, because it was too weak before. It was a pity that the ox god's primeval soul was wasted. But it was good now. With the blood, lightning, bull, demon, beast soul, the ox god's primeval soul could erupt with power. At the very least, it could be awakened like the sun god's blood. Ling Xiao was clear about the benefits of awakening. It could increase his strength dramatically. Ling Xiao's wild laughter came from the blood-colored lightning. Hearing it made one's hair stand on end. It was impossible for a person to survive in that kind of environment. Gu Fenghua was so anxious that he was going crazy. He knew that Ling Xiao was getting stronger. However, he could not stop him. This was simply the worst thing that could have happened. Ling Xiao didn't care if he was anxious or not. At this moment, Ling Xiao was carrying out a very important task. The enormous blood, thunder, bull, magical beast soul had already been awakened by him. The next step was to merge with his deity position. It was a little similar to the yin-yang universal light tiger he had fused with. However, it was much simpler than that. After all, Ling Xiao's cultivation had improved too much. Moreover, there was no primeval divine soul above the tiger god's deity seat, so it couldn't intimidate the hell cosmic light tiger. That was why it was so difficult. But now, with the ox god's primeval divine soul suppressing it, the blood lightning bull demon didn't dare to resist at all. He allowed Ling Xiao to transform him into a beast spirit and fuse with the deity position. In fact, this was a supreme honor for the blood lightning bull demon. What it possessed was merely a high-level deity position. Now that he could temporarily reside in the primordial god position, he could laugh to himself. Terrifying power continuously poured into Ling Xiao's body. Behind Ling Xiao, a lively figure gradually formed. This figure was completely formed by blood-red lightning. It was the appearance of the blood lightning bull demon. It also held a broad axe in its hand and had a divine dragon coiled around its waist. It was incomparably domineering. Success! Moreover, the energy in my cultivation, has increased by nearly 50%. The potential that was originally consumed has been completely filled. This blood lightning bull demon is too terrifying. It's just a skeleton, but it actually possesses such terrifying power. Ling Xiao was incomparably emotional. Of course, the fusion of the blood lightning bull demon beast soul also allowed Ling Xiao to have an additional special skill on the ox god's deity position. Originally, there was only earthquake, but now there was an additional blood-red thunder god. This blood-red thunder god's attack was similar to Ling Xiao's attack when he used his arm to release it. Similarly, it had to swallow high-grade spirit stones to attack. The more high-grade spirit stones it consumed, the more terrifying the attack power would be. At present, the strongest attack could even reach the terrifying power of a 7th-level Emperor-level martial skill. Even Gu Fenghua would be seriously injured if she was hit by this attack. As Ling Xiao subdued the blood lightning bull demon, the huge blood-red light pillar disappeared. The blood-red lightning bolts that filled the sky disappeared as well. Only Ling Xiao was still standing there, staring at Gu Fenghua with a mocking expression. I have to thank you for your arrogance. If you had acted personally from the beginning, I would have been able to defeat you. If you had attacked me first, I would have had no choice but to run away. But now, even if you want to kill me, it won't be that easy. Ling Xiao really had to thank Gu Fenghua. Or he had to thank all those who looked down on him. Do you really think you can defeat me like this? Gu Fenghua's voice was cold and cruel. Everyone thinks I'm just an early 7th-level divine core warrior. But today I'm going to tell you my real cultivation is actually a perfect 7th-level divine core warrior. Bang! A terrifying aura exploded out. The strength that Gu Fenghua had been hiding was unleashed at this moment. The reason why he had been hiding his strength was because he wanted to disguise himself as a pig to eat a tiger. Of course, his target wasn't Ling Xiao, but his competitors in the Eastern Victory Kingdom. But even he didn't expect this. He actually had to reveal his hidden strength for Ling Xiao, but he felt it was worth it. If he could get his hands on that high-grade divine soul, he would be as powerful as Wang Tian from the Eternal Emperor domain. He would become a terrifying beast god warrior. At that time, not only the Eastern Victory Kingdom, no one in the entire Golden Heavenly region would dare to look down on him. Do you understand now, Ling Xiao? The gap between our strengths is so huge. Now, give me your high-grade divine soul, or else I'll kill you right now. Gu Fenghua furiously roared while unleashing his aura. Are you an idiot? If I take out my divine soul, I'll be dead. Ling Xiao looked at Gu Fenghua with disdain, but he was secretly feeding the blood lightning bull fiend with high-grade soul stones. This guy had a huge appetite. In order to fuse with him, Jiang Qin had spent 10 million high-grade soul stones. But now, this guy had eaten a few million high-grade soul stones, and he was still eating. But the more he ate, the more terrifying his strength became. Ling Xiao was in pain and joy at the same time. Gu Fenghua, I won't kill you because you helped me raise my strength today. Activate your Vajra barrier and let me leave. From now on, we don't owe each other anything. Otherwise, not only will I destroy your Vajra barrier, but I'll also let you know what fear is. Actually, Ling Xiao already knew Gu Fenghua's true cultivation through the Tai Chi Eye. Of course, he only managed to do it after fusing with the blood lightning bull fiend beast soul. The beast soul of the blood thunder bull demon had made his soul power even stronger. The effects of the Tai Chi Eye had also been greatly enhanced. He knew that he wasn't a match for Gu Fenghua now, but it wasn't impossible to injure him. He only needed 2 moves. One was the blood lightning god, and the other was the rage of the onyx soul. Chapter 3862. What a ridiculous suggestion. Fine, I have nothing else to say to you. Now, I'll just kill you to prevent any unexpected events from happening. Gu Fenghua sneered. Then he suddenly leapt toward Ling Xiao. He wanted to kill Ling Xiao just now, but because of the blood-red lightning, he couldn't do it. But now the opportunity had arrived. How could he just let Ling Xiao go? That would be the same as releasing a tiger back into the mountains. Looks like there's nothing to talk about. When Ling Xiao saw Gu Fenghua attacking him, he immediately dodged with the falling plum-clear shadow steps and the firestorm wheels. At the same time, he continued to feed the blood lightning bull. He wanted the blood-red lightning to reach its current limit. Only then could he severely injure Gu Fenghua, or even kill him. But this Gu Fenghua was really hard to deal with. His speed was terrifyingly fast, even with the falling plum-clear shadow steps and the firestorm wheels. Ling Xiao still felt a great threat. 20 million upper-grade soul stones. I can still eat them? Ling Xiao was surprised. 20 million upper-grade soul stones. Perhaps even an 8th divine core warrior could only afford 20 million upper-grade soul stones. This blood lightning bull demon really had a big appetite. But now, its speed had obviously slowed down. It should be reaching its limit soon. Damn it, you're just like a cunning loach. Although Gu Fenghua was pressuring Ling Xiao, he still couldn't land a single hit on Ling Xiao. With the falling plum-clear shadow steps and firestorm wheels, Ling Xiao was giving him a headache. Finally, he was enraged. His martial soul emerged behind his back. It was also a blade martial soul. However, Gu Fenghua's blade martial soul was golden in color, and it shone brightly, illuminating the entire campsite. Many people couldn't help but close their eyes. Golden blade martial soul. This is young master Gu Fenghua's martial soul. In order to deal with Ling Xiao, he actually unleashed his martial soul. This Ling Xiao is really admirable. Qin Yu was filled with mixed emotions. He was even glad that he had not attacked Ling Xiao. Otherwise, he might have been the one to die instead of Qing Mashue. 10,000 zhang golden light breaks evil. Gu Fenghua let out an explosive shout. His hands formed the saber art. Suddenly, with his body as the center, countless saber lights suddenly burst out, heading towards Ling Xiao. These saber lights were streaks of golden light. It almost enveloped the entire world. Gu Fenghua was known as the heaven-slaying saber demon. His comprehension of the saber was outstanding. His golden light saber soul was already at the 10th level of the Khanate realm. Compared to Ling Xiao's 30% innate god-fiend sword soul, the difference wasn't that great. The power of his saber art was more than 10 times that of a normal saber soul martial artist. This was the reason why he was able to fight above his level. In fact, with Gu Fenghua's strength, even if she couldn't defeat an early 8th divine core warrior, she wouldn't be easily killed. At the perfect 7th divine core realm, his battle prowess was definitely among the best. Of course, Ling Xiao's Tao of Sword was even more frightening than his. Therefore, Ling Xiao wasn't afraid. The 10,000 golden lights were extremely frightening. Ling Xiao could feel that even if he tried to defend himself with the wind flame wheels, they would still be shattered. Once the saber lights landed, Ling Xiao would be sliced into pieces and turned into minced meat. This is too domineering. Even if there were 100 of me, I wouldn't be able to defend against such a powerful saber energy. Everyone, run away! Chun Yu could feel how frightening the saber lights were. He quickly ordered everyone to run away from the battlefield. Actually, even without his order, everyone had already started running away. Fear was something that everyone had. When facing a powerful force, everyone would have a direct reaction. However, Ling Xiao didn't run away. What a pity, Gu Fenghua. Such a powerful attack. If you had used it earlier, your junior sister Qing Mashue wouldn't have died. Ling Xiao could sense that the blood lightning bull fiend had stopped devouring the energy stones. He knew it was time for him to strike back. It's not too late to kill you now. Gu Fenghua shouted coldly. You're the only one who thinks so. Today, I'll teach you a good lesson. I'll let you know that there's always someone better than you out there. Blood lightning bull fiend, come out. Following Ling Xiao's shout, the blood lightning bull fiend's beast soul, which was 10 meters tall, appeared behind him. Its 2 huge eyes were like 2 blood-red suns. A frightening, murderous aura filled the air. Roar! The blood lightning bull fiend's roar was like thunder. At this moment, Ling Xiao's body was completely covered by blood-red lightning. He immediately put away the wind flame wheels. This was because he had a more powerful attack to execute. The wind flame wheels were a little cumbersome. What? Seeing this scene, everyone was inexplicably shocked. They couldn't understand why the blood lightning bull fiend would become Ling Xiao's martial soul. This was too inconceivable and too illogical. It was hard to understand. Blood lightning god. Ling Xiao spat out these words. In an instant, blood-red lightning filled the entire space. When the 10,000 rays of golden light came into contact with the blood-red lightning, they instantly shattered and disintegrated. The blood lightning bull fiend turned into a human-shaped lightning bolt and charged toward Gu Fenghua. This wasn't just a beast soul. It was a terrifying attack that contained more than 20 million upper-grade spirit stones. It was also an attack from the blood lightning god. Compared to the embryonic form that Ling Xiao had used before, it was much more powerful. The weather changed. Heaven and earth roared. The onlookers continued to flee. The golden light was frightening, but the blood-red lightning was even more frightening. At that moment, Gu Fenghua actually revealed a terrified expression. He was an expert, so he knew what Ling Xiao's attack meant. This was a power that could definitely kill him, but he didn't understand. How could such a terrifying power be contained in Ling Xiao's body? It was puzzling, but he didn't have time to think about it. He quickly retracted the 10,000 rays of golden light and formed a huge golden shield in front of him. In order to defend against Ling Xiao's attack, he even retracted the golden shield and used it as a defensive item. But in front of the mighty blood lightning god, all of his efforts were in vain. In front of Qin Yu's eyes, a scene that he would never believe for the rest of his life appeared. A huge blood lightning bull demon swallowed Gu Fenghua in one gulp. Young master! Qin Yu's expression changed dramatically. Qing Mashue was killed, and he didn't know how to explain this to the Eastern Victory Kingdom. If Gu Fenghua was killed as well, it would be a huge problem. This little life of his would probably be gone. Bang! A frightening shockwave exploded from the blood lightning bullfiend. Before Qin Yu could even think about it, he was sent flying away. This power was simply too frightening. Just the shockwave alone was enough to send a peak 6th heavenly core warrior flying away. How strong was this blood lightning bullfiend? This was too frightening. Not bad. Ling Xiao nodded his head. He didn't waste 20 million upper-grade spirit stones for nothing. 20 million upper-grade spirit stones. And he just threw them away like that. Chapter 3863. The shockwave continued to wreak havoc. A large number of Purple Mansion Army soldiers were devoured by the blood-red lightning, and they were instantly turned into charred corpses. Right now, everyone only had one thought about Ling Xiao, and that was fear. This man was too frightening. He didn't even use all of his strength to kill Qing Mashue. He still had such a terrifying attack. Gu Fenghua was too careless. I was careless as well. Qin Yu furrowed his brows. He didn't know what Ling Xiao would do to them once Gu Fenghua was killed. In any case, nothing good would happen. Gu Fenghua, do you feel it now? Aren't you arrogant? Aren't you arrogant? Aren't you looking down on me? How about now? Doesn't it feel great to be struck by lightning? With his Tai Chi eye, Ling Xiao could clearly see Gu Fenghua's current situation. Within the terrifying blood-red lightning, the golden shield was first destroyed. Then the golden shield was shattered as well. After that, Gu Fenghua's body was torn apart. Gu Fenghua's body was completely destroyed amidst the pain and anger. But that inner core was really strong. Gu Fenghua's inner core was an earth core, and it was a perfect earth core. Its defense was incredibly strong, and it was shocking. Even the terrifying blood, lightning god, couldn't destroy it. So this is an earth core? It can draw upon the earth force. That's why it's so strong. Ling Xiao knew that if he couldn't destroy the earth core, he wouldn't be able to kill Gu Fenghua. It looked like he had to settle for the next best thing. The blood lightning god was his strongest attack, but it still couldn't kill Gu Fenghua. Even if he used the Sky Tyrant Martial Soul, the result would still be the same. Looking at the earth force gushing out from the ground and wrapping around the earth core, Ling Xiao's frown deepened. Whatever. I've saved Ziqinya. There's no need to kill him now. Once I break through to the 6th divine core realm, it won't be too late to kill him. With this thought in mind, Ling Xiao was ready to leave. Finally, the blood-red lightning disappeared. The blood lightning bull's shadow once again returned to Ling Xiao's body. He seemed a little weak. This attack had consumed 20 million high-grade spirit stones, and if he wanted to recover the blood lightning bull magical beast soul, the amount of high-grade spirit stones would probably have to be doubled. However, Ling Xiao was not stingy. He knew very well that such a powerful attack was the best way to save his life. Therefore, he hurriedly fed a large amount of spirit stones to the blood lightning bull demon to devour. An earth core floated in the air. Gu Fenghua's shadow appeared. The power of the earth continued to pour in, and Gu Fenghua's illusory figure gradually solidified. Ling Xiao knew very well that Gu Fenghua would launch a fatal attack on him the moment the illusory figure materialized again. Since he could not kill Gu Fenghua, there was no need for him to suffer here. Mei Qing's shadow steps rose and fell, and then she entered the body of cosmic light state, raising her speed to the extreme. Ling Xiao, ever since I broke through to the perfect 7th divine core realm, no one has been able to injure me so much. You're the first. and he would be the last one. Run. No matter where you run to, I'll find you and tear you into a million pieces. Gu Fenghua's shadow had a ferocious expression, and she looked like an enraged devil. Ha ha ha! I've never seen someone as shameless as you. Fine, I'll wait for you. I can tell you now, I'll return to the Purple Spirit Capital this time. If you want to find me, just come. I'll be waiting for you. The next time we meet, it'll be your death. Amidst the wild laughter, Ling Xiao had already disappeared. Only this sentence was left, echoing in the Purple Palace royal capital. They didn't disperse for a long time. It was as if he was mocking Gu Fenghua on purpose. Young master, are you all right? Chun Yu didn't chase after Gu Fenghua, and he didn't have the courage to do so. When he saw Gu Fenghua only had her inner core left, he couldn't help but feel a lingering fear. What if the attack just now had hit him? Perhaps he would have been turned into ashes by now. There wouldn't even be a single fragment left. Not only him. None of the people present had expected such an outcome. They had set up an inescapable net, waiting for Ling Xiao to walk right into it. Ling Xiao had come. Not only had he saved Zi Qinya, he had also killed 2 generals, Qing Ma Xue, Yu Qilong, and even severely injured Gu Fenghua. As for the tens of thousands of captains, major generals, and lieutenant generals of the Purple Palace royal capital, they didn't even need to be mentioned. It could be said that Ling Xiao had achieved a complete victory, and they had suffered a complete defeat. Gu Fenghua's body was still in the process of reforming. At the Earth Core stage, as long as the inner core wasn't destroyed, one could use the power of the Earth to reform their body. But even if the reform was successful, it would take a few days to recover to its original level. At that time, Gu Fenghua might not be a match for Ling Xiao. He was the 7th strongest on the combat strength list. If someone else faced Ling Xiao, how could they have any chance of winning? Gu Fenghua's consciousness hadn't dissipated. It was stored in her inner core. Everyone could speak of the fury in his soul. This anger made everyone tremble in fear. Those who had nothing to do with it all turned around and left. They didn't know what Gu Fenghua would do after she recovered, so it was better to leave as soon as possible. However, Gu Fenghua was already fuming with anger. He felt as if every cell in his body was burning crazily. Since young, he had always been a proud son of the heavens. He had never been humiliated like this. Although he thought highly of Ling Xiao, he only thought that he had outstanding talent. In terms of strength, he didn't care at all. But such a person had not only killed his junior sister in front of him. Moreover, he had also severely injured him. How could he not be angry? However, Zi Qinya's inner core is still in my hands. Even if Ling Xiao escapes, can you not come back? At that time, won't you have to hold back? This might be the only thing that Gu Fenghua could let go of. However, he might not know that Zi Qinya had the Blood Sword Supreme's inner core and hadn't used it yet. Even if she lost her inner core, with the help of an expert, she could take the Blood Sword Supreme's inner core for herself. In this way, not only would her cultivation not be destroyed, but she would also have a great breakthrough. While Ling Xiao was causing havoc in the Purple Mansion royal capital, in the immemorial Divine Tomb, there was also a life-and-death battle. The beast race of the Savage Beast region had attacked again. The scale this time was even larger than the previous battle. The Savage Beast region had sent 100,000 beasts. The weakest was at the 7th level of the Reincarnation Divine Realm. Among them, 10,000 were Divine Vein Realm cultivators. The strongest was at the 9th level of the Divine Vein Realm. The reason why such powerful beasts could reach the immemorial Divine Tomb was because the laws of the entire Western region were changing. After Ling Xiao unified the Western region, the laws became more strict. Everyone's cultivation speed increased, and the spirit qi in the air became more abundant. However, the trouble that came with it was that the foreign invaders had also become stronger. Chapter 3864. However, before Ling Xiao left, he'd already considered the possibility that the 4 domains would target the primordial divine tombs. Thus, before leaving, he'd set up the strongest defenses on the front lines. This included powerful formations and terrifying puppet armies. At the very least, the Savage Beast Region's army wouldn't be able to break in any time soon. The only problem was that the passageways to the 4 domains were blocked. The Celestial Empire's cultivators in the 4 domains were cut off from those in the Western domains. Moreover, the Western domain's cultivators lacked a way to continue strengthening themselves. If the passageways were blocked for too long, it might even cause the laws to collapse again. They'd return to their previous situation. Currently, Jaime Nkeo was the only divine vein expert left in the Western domains. The others had already left the Western domains for the Golden Skies to further their studies. They'd built their own base there, using the Meng village as a fortress. The cultivation resources over there were much better than here. Jaime Nkeo stood on a tall city tower, gazing at the Savage Beast Region's army in the distance. She couldn't help but feel a bit worried. In truth, her goal in coming to the primordial divine tombs was to head to the Golden Skies and meet up with her colleagues there. Generally speaking, any divine vein cultivator born in the Western domains would do the same. After all, the Western domains soil wasn't suitable for divine vein cultivators to cultivate. But now it was troublesome. There was no way she could leave. I have to think of something. Jaime Nkeo frowned, lost in thought. General, why don't we contact the Celestial Emperor? Perhaps he'll have a way. Standing next to Jaime Nkeo was the Ling family's head, Ling Wuhan. The Sky Dragon Continent's Ling family and the Black Tortoise Continent's Ling family had merged. Ling Tianxiong was willing to join the Sky Dragon Continent's Ling family. He still worshipped Ling Wuhan as the head of the family. Apart from the branch families, the Ling family's main branch had all moved to the primordial divine tombs. According to Ling Wuhan, they were Ling Zhao's strongest spiritual support. No matter where Ling Xiao was, no matter how powerful Ling Xiao was, he needed the support of his family. The current Ling Wuhan was already a martial artist at the first level of the reincarnation divine realm. His aptitude was not bad. It was just that the Sky Dragon Continent's conditions were too poor. Therefore, after coming here, his cultivation base rose steadily. However, due to the delay, he was only at the first level of the reincarnation divine realm. He couldn't help Ling Xiao much, but he could take care of the rear for Ling Xiao. This person was very capable. He was also the first benefactor that Ling Xiao had met. Without him, perhaps Ling Xiao would have already died in that small corner of the Sky Dragon Continent. Don't disturb His Majesty the Heavenly Emperor for now. Jaime Nkeo shook her head. It's not easy for His Majesty to cultivate. Coming back will waste a lot of time. Let's wait and see. As long as the formation left behind by His Majesty the Heavenly Emperor exists, the formation department of our Heavenly Dynasty Empire will be maintained well. At the very least, it could last for a few years. Maybe they retreated. That's true. It seems that other than this method, the only other way is to cultivate as hard as possible. Only by surpassing those beasts can we truly protect the Heavenly Dynasty Empire. Ling Wuhan looked at Jaime Nkeo and said, General, among all of us, only you have the highest chance of defeating the leader of the beasts. Go and cultivate. When you're here, I and the others will be in charge. There won't be any problems. Fine. Jaime Nkeo could only think of this method now. Since she couldn't go out, she would stay here and cultivate for the time being. She definitely couldn't cause trouble for Ling Xiao. Just as Jaime Nkeo was about to go back to cultivate, suddenly a white figure appeared in the sky. Her heart tightened. Oh no, the enemy is attacking. But how can they break through His Majesty the Heavenly Emperor's formation? Jaime Nkeo was extremely worried. Ling family head, immediately evacuate the people in the city. Warriors above the reincarnation divine realm stay, and the rest hide. Although she looked very calm, in her heart she was feeling despair. That guy had said that the weakest person who could break through his formation was a divine core warrior. No one below the divine vein realm could do it. That also meant that the attacker was at least a divine core warrior. How could they fight this? Facing such a terrifying opponent, there was no hope for them to win. Damn it. She had no choice but to fight. And, just as she was feeling despair, a bright light landed on the ground. She had a clear look at the person's face. Senior Moon Maiden. She still gave off the same ethereal feeling. She still gave off the same beautiful feeling. She still made all other women feel inferior. The Moon Maiden wasn't a perfect woman, but her flaws had become her strengths because of her temperament. It made people feel like she was supposed to be something more beautiful. Ling Wuhen hadn't left yet. He quickly kneeled down. He was lucky enough to meet the Moon Maiden before. He knew that the Moon Maiden was Ling Zhao's woman, and she was the savior of the Ling family. Next to the Moon Maiden, there was another beautiful woman. She was wearing a white dress, and she was giving off a fierce aura. Compared to the Moon Lady, she seemed to be less graceful and more wild. The beast race? Haim Myung-keo furrowed her brows. But, after thinking about it carefully, since the Moon Maiden was here, she shouldn't be doing anything bad to the Western region. We meet again. Yu Fanghua smiled bitterly. Weren't you imprisoned in the Eternal Palace? Haim Myung-keo was surprised. It's nothing, I just escaped. He can go to the 4 regions for me, and I can come here for him. Yu Fanghua smiled and said, originally I was going to ask him where he went, but I saw the Savage Beast Region's army of 100,000 attacking the immemorial Divine Tomb, so I knew you were in trouble. I'm here to help. Help? You alone? Haim Myung-keo knew that Yu Fanghua was strong, but she wasn't sure how strong she was. You don't need to do anything. I can do it. The white-robed girl had a pair of angelic wings on her back. She was beautiful to the extreme. Go, Bai Shui. It's best if they retreat of their own accord. If they can't, then we'll have to use a more forceful method. Make them fear us. Yu Fanghua said calmly. Understood, big sister. Bai Shui nodded, then shot into the air. Above the Savage Beast Race army, she spoke in a loud, clear voice. All Beast Race soldiers below, listen up. Retreat to the Savage Beast region immediately, or none of you will return. Bai Shui's temper was far worse than Yu Fenghua's. She was a Yao, after all. She'd been tainted by the White Eagle's viciousness. Ha 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 ha! Where did this little white eagle come from? She doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Wild laughter rang out. A man soared into the air. He was a 7th-level divine vein expert. He was also the leader of the 100,000 soldiers. This fellow was a vulture that had cultivated into a human form. However, he was different from the demons. Unlike humans, beasts retained most of their characteristics. This vulture wasn't very good-looking. Are you talking to me? Bai Shui asked coldly. Chapter 3865. That's right. Little white eagle, if you're willing to become my woman, I'll let you live. Otherwise, you'll be trampled by the beasts when the city falls. Martial Vulture laughed proudly. I think you're tired of living. Bai Shui snorted coldly and flapped her snow-white wings. A terrifying gust of wind instantly pierced through Martial Vulture's body. Martial Vulture was torn into dozens of pieces in midair. Even his demonic beast crystal core was completely shattered. The demonic beast crystal core was very similar to a human's inner core. Once it was damaged, there was no way to revive it. Moreover, the gust of wind didn't stop there. It directly hit the ground. In an instant, the 100,000-strong army was annihilated. I didn't stop. Bai Shui stuck out her tongue and looked at Yu Fanghua helplessly. Sister, what should we do? This guy was rude and I was angry, so I used too much strength. We're doomed. Forget it. Let's just kill him. The beasts have been harassing our Eternal Emperor region for years. Many of our martial artists have died at their hands. Yu Fanghua naturally couldn't bear to blame Bai Shui. Moreover, Marshal Vulture's words were indeed unpleasant. The conversation between the two of them left the hundreds of millions of warriors in the divine Devil's City dumbfounded. In their eyes, the 100,000-strong army was like a god-fiend. The girl with the snow-white wings had actually wiped them all out with a light flap of her wings. Was she a god? Everyone knelt down. In their eyes, Yu Fenghua and Bai Shui were more terrifying than a god-fiend. Get up. I'm only helping your heavenly emperor. Yu Fenghua smiled faintly and looked at the stunned Haim, Mian Ko. I'm here to ask about the exact details of his departure. I used the dream-reflecting mirror the last time, so I'm not too sure. No problem. Haim, Mian Ko, recovered from her shock. Oh my god, Yu Fenghua is so strong. Even Bai Shui can't compare to her. Would Ling Xiao really be able to catch up to such a terrifying person? After His Majesty the Celestial Emperor left the immemorial divine tomb, he arrived at the Golden Sky region. They had even established a base. On our side, all cultivators who have reached the divine vein realm will be sent there to further their studies. I don't know what's going on over there. I only know that he went to the Golden Sky region. Haim, Mian Ko replied. He actually went. In Yu Fenghua's eyes, she was touched and worried. She was the clearest about the situation in the 4 major regions. Although the Golden Sky region wasn't as strong as the Eternal Emperor region, it was definitely not weak as one of the 4 major regions. She wondered how he was doing now. To be honest, when she parted ways with Ling Xiao, she never thought that the two of them would meet again. Or rather, if they were to meet, she would be the one to look for Ling Xiao, instead of Ling Xiao looking for her. If I go and look for him now, it would be different from what we agreed on. That would be an insult to him. Yu Fenghua already had an idea. She wasn't going to look for Ling Xiao anymore, because she believed that Ling Xiao would definitely be able to find her at the agreed time. However, because she was worried, she would definitely hide in the dark to observe. After confirming Ling Xiao's situation, she would then decide what to do next. It seems like that person is sincere to you. If it were me, I wouldn't be able to do it. To be honest, Bai Shui didn't like Ling Xiao, because Ling Xiao made Yu Fenghua suffer the torment of longing for him. She was even willing to be put under house arrest rather than listen to the Eternal Palace's arrangements. But at this moment, she seemed to have understood. Yu Fenghua's longing for him for such a long time was worth it. That person was also risking his life. She was very clear about how dangerous it was for a Western region cultivator to enter the 4 major regions. Perhaps as soon as he entered the forest, there was already no hope. Now, she was very worried about whether Ling Xiao was still alive, because she knew that if Ling Xiao died, her sister Yu Fenghua would be in so much pain that she wished she was dead. That was the last thing she wanted to see. Haim, Mian Ko, can you tell me how he managed to survive for such a long time? Yu Fenghua really wanted to know. How did that man who could make her heart ache and make her miss him go from a small country to the emperor who unified the Western region? Of course. Haim, Mian Ko nodded and told Yu Fenghua everything that had happened after Yu Fenghua left. During this process, Yu Fenghua would occasionally cry out in surprise, because Ling Xiao had encountered danger in the story. Bai Shui's eyes widened. She had never thought that a man would go to such lengths for a woman. He was simply a madman. However, she really liked this lunatic. After a long time, Haim Mian Ko finally stopped. Yu Fenghua seemed to be still immersed in the story. As expected of my man, he's too strong and too crazy. It seems that everything I've done has not been in vain. Ling Xiao, it's my turn to look for you now. I hope I can find you soon. She knew that even if she found Ling Xiao, she could not be with Ling Xiao, because once the Palace of Immortality found out, they would definitely send experts to find her. Her existence would only cause more trouble for Ling Xiao, but it was fine. She just wanted to quietly hide in the dark and watch over her man. She just wanted to see him safe. All right, the story is over. I should leave. Before I leave, I'll give you something good. Yu Fenghua took out a palm-sized puppet beast and said, "This is my toy. Don't underestimate it. Once it has enough energy stones, it can unleash the frightening strength of a first divine core warrior. Divine core realm, not the divine vein realm. When the time comes, even if the beasts of the savage beast region invade again, as long as you have it, you'll be able to kill them all." "Thank you, Senior Yu Nu," Haim Myung-ko said gratefully. "No need to thank me. Isn't the Heavenly Empire his kingdom? I like him. It's not a big deal to give something of mine to his kingdom." Yu Fenghua smiled. After that, she jumped onto Bai Shui, who had transformed into a huge white eagle. They flew into the sky. Their next step was the Golden Sky region. Although she was still worried, she was willing to believe that Ling Xiao was still alive, and he must have become very strong. "Bai Shui, let's go to the Ming village and have a look," Yu Fenghua said. "Understood, sister." Bai Shui sped up, then it turned into a white beam and disappeared. Haim Myung-ko thought for a moment. Then she handed the puppet beast to Ling Wuheng and said, "The Heavenly Empire has its own system, but in the end it belongs to Ling Xiao. It belongs to your Ling family. That's why you have to shoulder a heavier responsibility. Protect it well. You can take this puppet. I'm going to the Golden Sky region." Originally, Haim Myung-ko wanted Yu Fenghua to bring her along, but she could tell that the demon called Bai Shui was very arrogant, and she would never let her ride it. Besides, the journey to the Golden Sky region was a kind of cultivation. Chapter 3866. Ling Xiao didn't know that Yu Fenghua had risked her life to find him. Right now, he had brought the weakened Zi Qinya back to the Purple Spirit Capital. In this battle, not only did he come out unscathed, he even saved Zi Qinya. It was a complete victory. His only regret was that he couldn't kill Gu Fenghua. "My strength is still too weak. If I can break through to the mortal core realm, I might have a chance." Ling Xiao furrowed his brows, thinking about how to break through to the next realm. He didn't have much time. Gu Fenghua would need at most half a month to fully recover. Within this period of time, he had to break through, or else, once Gu Fenghua came, it would be like a thunderbolt. The reason why he was able to severely injure Gu Fenghua was because he didn't know anything about the Blood Thunder God. If they really fought, he wouldn't be able to defeat him. But come to think of it, Ling Xiao was only famous in Zifu Kingdom, but in the entire Dongxing Kingdom he was just a nobody. He was able to injure Gu Fenghua to such an extent. It could be said that he had done something that left people dumbfounded. He felt good about it. "Brother Ling Xiao, what should we do next? Should we leave the Purple Spirit Capital?" Towards Ling Xiao, Zilong didn't just admire him, he respected him. Ling Xiao had really saved Ziqinya, all by himself. This was unbelievable. Why should we leave? Not only is this Purple Spirit Kingdom mine, the Zifu Kingdom will also be mine. Since he had already started, he might as well do something bigger. At this stage, it was better to control the Purple Spirit Kingdom first. The Dongxing Kingdom wouldn't care about a small kingdom, and he could make Ziqinya continue to pretend to be loyal to the Dongxing Kingdom. He believed that the death of Gu Fenghua and Qing Mashua would make the Dongsheng Kingdom restrain themselves. After all, no matter how good the Dongsheng Heavenly Sword and immemorial martial skills were, it wasn't worth it to lose too much. The Dongxing Kingdom was facing the competition from the other 3 kingdoms. They didn't have time to waste on a small kingdom. Of course, if the Dongxing Kingdom really wanted to destroy the Purple Spirit Kingdom, then Ling Xiao would have to retreat to the Meng family first. A temporary retreat was to prepare for a better counterattack in the future. But this was all in the future. No one could say for sure. Right now, what Ling Xiao wanted to do the most was to raise his cultivation as soon as possible. "Sister Qinya, is there a place that is dangerous but also filled with opportunities? Is there a place that can increase my cultivation level in a short amount of time?" Ling Xiao suddenly asked. "There really is such a place. In the past, even I didn't dare to casually enter that place. But with your current strength, It shouldn't be a problem. Zi Qinya pondered for a moment before replying. What place? Asked Qinya. Actually, there's a portal in the king's residence that connects to an unknown small world. And there's the aura of the heavenly demon inside. It is very terrifying. Qinya, take me there. No matter what, I have to give it a try. After all, it's only half a month. Qinya King Qiao. Qinya. In the depths of the king's residence, there was a sealed portal. Legend has it that one day, a heavenly demon flew out of it, killed the monarch of the Purple Spirit Kingdom, and took over the capital city. Later, it was killed by the experts of the Dongshin Kingdom. However, Zi Qinya was the successor of the monarch, so she didn't know much about it. This sealing technique is really crude. Seeing the seal, Ling Xiao couldn't help but curl his lips. Crude? No way. This was sealed by the imperial master of the Dongshin Kingdom. Zi Qinya smiled bitterly. So what? Crude is crude. Ling Xiao said disdainfully. He tapped a few times and the seal was destroyed. A terrifying demonic aura gushed out of the portal. Ling Xiao was immediately invigorated. Yes, this is the feeling. I really like it. Ling Xiao said excitedly. Brother Ling Xiao, take me with you. I want to become stronger too. If there's any danger and you can't save me, don't save me. I want to join the battle as well. I don't want to be a coward all the time. Zilong suddenly said. He was an early third divine core warrior, and he wasn't weak at all. In terms of cultivation, he wasn't weak. The main reason was that Ling Xiao was too abnormal. I'll go with you, Zi Qinya said. No problem. But before we go, Sister Qinya, you need to recover your strength first. Ling Xiao looked at Zi Qinya and said, I don't think you've merged with the Blood Sword Lord's inner core yet. Let me give you a hand. Will it take a long time? Zi Qinya was worried that she would waste Ling Xiao's cultivation time. About an hour, it's nothing. Ling Xiao said confidently. He had 2 divine cores in his body, and they were more than enough to suppress the Blood Sword Lord's heavenly core. It was easy for him to merge with Zi Qinya. Besides, the heavenly core of the Blood Sword Lord had lost its consciousness. Only its memories were left. Once the fusion was successful, Zi Qinya would inherit the Blood Sword Lord's combat skills and wisdom. Not only would her cultivation improve, her combat strength would also skyrocket. Of course, she wouldn't be able to reach the same level as the Blood Sword Lord, but it was still possible for her to reach the peak 6th Divine Core Realm, or even the early 7th Divine Core Realm. Let's not waste any more time. Let's begin. Consume this healing pill first. It will heal your injuries. Ling Xiao didn't have much time, and he didn't want to waste any time. Therefore, he quickly started. After Zi Qinya's injuries were fully healed, Ling Xiao and Zi Qinya worked together to merge the Blood Sword Lord's inner core. Zi Qinya thought the process would be extremely difficult, but in fact, besides the pain, every step was smooth. All the problems and troubles that arose were solved by Ling Xiao one by one. In less than an hour, around 40 minutes had passed. The Blood Sword Lord's inner core had completely merged with Zi Qinya. It now belonged to her. Just as Ling Xiao had expected, Zi Qinya's cultivation had successfully broken through to the early 7th Divine Core Realm from the early 6th Divine Core Realm. It should have been an Earth Core, but now it had become a Heavenly Core. Zi Qinya was an invincible existence among all warriors at the same level as her. An Earth Core could only utilize the force of the Earth, but a Heavenly Core could utilize the force of the heavens and Earth. It was much more powerful. All right, let's depart now. Purple Spirit Capital is protected by a formation. We won't be in any danger for the time being. As long as we can make it back in half a month, we'll be fine. Ling Xiao stood up and was the first one to enter the portal. Zi Qinya and Zi Long followed closely behind. Inside the portal was an incomparably huge space. The strangest thing was there were countless volcanoes here. The volcanoes were huge. Just the craters of the volcanoes were more than 1,000 meters long. Below them was a land that stretched for dozens of miles. It was truly a shocking sight. Chapter 3867. The scariest thing wasn't the gigantic volcano. The scariest thing was there was a huge forest not far away. Vaguely, they could hear the strange cries of heavenly devils coming from within. The sky above the forest was covered by a dense, devilish energy. Black, evil, terrifying. Countless demon beasts could be seen roaming around the forest. Miserable cries could be heard from within the forest. Obviously, some demon beasts had been killed. They could even hear the miserable cries of humans. There are people here. Zichinya was surprised. She thought the Heavenly Devil's ruin was only connected to the purple spirit capital. She didn't expect it to be connected to other places as well. This isn't strange. Perhaps the Heavenly Devil's ruin is similar to the bloodthirsty battlefield. It is connected to 30,000 small kingdoms. If that's the case, we have to be extra careful. We might encounter some people with evil intentions. Ling Xiao reminded Zichinya. After that, he started walking towards the forest. Since that was the most dangerous place, perhaps it was also the place where he could break through. Swoosh! Swoosh! Suddenly, a group of men descended from the sky and landed outside the forest. The Heavenly Devil energy here is so dense. This must be the nest of the Heavenly Devils. But I wonder if the Heavenly Devils are as scary as the rumors say. One of the men said with a smile. It seemed like he wasn't afraid of the legendary Heavenly Devils, and instead he looked quite relaxed. Sister Chinya, who are those men? Ling Xiao asked curiously. They didn't walk towards them. They just hid. At this moment, it was better for them not to be discovered so easily. By Tianyu from the Blood Sun Kingdom, and Lu Yi from the Greenwood Kingdom. I know both of them. Bai Tianyu is the #1 warrior from the Blood Sun Kingdom, and he is much stronger than the Purple Palace army you joined. I think he is at the mid-6th divine core realm. Lu Ye's strength is on par with him. I didn't expect them to team up. Zichinya furrowed her brows. She was worried. Sister Chinya, don't forget about your current strength. Those two guys are just cats and dogs in front of you. As for the rest of them, they're not worth mentioning. Ling Xiao reminded her. If you didn't mention it, I would have forgotten. I thought I was at the early 6th divine core realm. Zichinya was startled. Then she said with a bitter smile. Lu Yi said, the Heavenly Devil relic is such a good place, but it's not allowed to be opened. What a waste. To martial artists like us, who cultivate Devil Dao martial techniques, the Heavenly Devil Grass can be said to have many benefits. As for the Heavenly Demon Pith, it's even more beneficial to us. It might even help us break through to the 7th divine core realm. Bai Tianyu shook his head and said, Heavenly Devil Essence isn't that easy to obtain. No matter what, since I'm already here, I should go and take a look. If he was lucky enough to get it, he would be rich. Moreover, it was rumored that a terrible war had taken place in the Heavenly Devil ruins a long time ago. At that time, the Heavenly Demon was still at its peak and was very powerful. They had killed many of the Dong Sheng Strong country's martial artists who had come to encircle them. There should be a lot of inner cores and treasures left behind. Even if I can't get the Heavenly Devil Essence, it's still good to get those things. Lu Yi, on the other hand, was optimistic. Then let's go. Bai Tianyu seemed to be tempted as well. Smiling, they entered the forest together. There were a total of 20 men in this group, and all of them were at least at the 4th divine core realm. It was obvious that the Blood Sun and Greenwood Kingdom had been preparing for this trip to the Heavenly Devil ruins for a long time. However, they didn't expect to bump into Ling Xiao. When Ling Xiao and the other two arrived at the forest, Lu Yi, Bai Tianyu, and the other men had already entered for some time. Someone is opening a path for us, great. Ling Xiao smiled. Then he followed the path Lu Yi and Bai Tianyu took. Along the way, they found a lot of demon beast corpses. They must have been killed by Lu Yi, Bai Tianyu, and the other men. Be careful. I can feel that after entering the forest, my divine sense has suddenly become very weak. Originally, I could release my divine sense to a few dozen miles in circumference, but now I can only release my divine sense to a few dozen meters away. I think I am affected by the heavenly devil energy. Zi Qianya furrowed his brows and said, "Don't worry, just follow me." Although Ling Xiao's divine sense was affected as well, his Tai Chi I wasn't affected too much. He could still see things up to a mile away. It was much larger than Zi Qianya's divine sense. "Zilong, get ready to fight. I won't be following the men in front of us. After all, we're here to train ourselves. If we don't fight, it'll be meaningless." Ling Xiao reminded Zilong. Among the three men, Zilong was the weakest. But with the blood sovereign armor, Zilong was able to unleash the combat strength of an early 4th divine core warrior. Furthermore, his defensive strength was comparable to a 6th divine core warrior's. Therefore, he didn't have to worry too much about his safety. "I understand, Brother Ling Xiao." Zilong nodded his head. When he thought about how his sister was taken away, he couldn't do anything about it. When he thought about how his sister was slaughtered in Purple Spirit City, he couldn't do anything but watch. Zilong's heart was filled with endless courage. No one could stop him from moving forward. He had to become stronger. Roar! Not long after they moved forward, a roar suddenly sounded out. Within the dense forest, a ferocious devil tiger leapt towards Ling Xiao and the other two men. This devil tiger must have been contaminated by the heavenly devil energy. That's why it became like this. It had become an aggressive beast, and its strength had become much stronger as well. Early 4th divine core warrior. "Zilong, you do it!" A small fry like this was nothing to Ling Xiao. Therefore, he didn't plan to fight. But since the demon beasts in the outer perimeter of the forest were so terrifying, the demon beasts in the inner perimeter must be even stronger. It looked like he still had a chance to break through. Die. Zilong's dragon martial soul emerged behind his back. With the blood sun whirled in his hand, he charged towards the demon beast. After a fierce battle, although Zilong wasn't injured, he was exhausted, and his true yuan was almost depleted. As for the devil tiger, it was killed as well. "Come eat it." Ling Xiao took out a demon beast core from the devil tiger's body and gave it to Zilong. Of course, he had prepared it beforehand. If he let Zilong eat it, he would be harming Zilong. "Also, I'll teach you the sky-devouring art. This is a skill I got from the ancient emperor of Dongsheng. A few thousand years ago, there was a warrior who relied on devouring demon beast cores to increase his strength. This was his cultivation technique. I'll let you slowly comprehend it, but there's no time for that. Let me give you some pointers." Ling Xiao pressed his finger on Zilong's forehead. Then a memory entered Zilong's mind. In an instant, Zilong felt as if his head had been pierced through, and he howled in pain. He was rolling on the ground. "This pain will make you remember how hard it is to obtain this thing. If you can't hold on any longer, just tell me, I'll give up," Ling Xiao said with an indifferent tone. Although he couldn't bear to do this, but he also knew that only by experiencing the toughest of hardships could one rise above others. If he couldn't do it, then Zilong would have to slowly cultivate. Chapter 3868. "Brother Ling Xiao, I can do it." Zilong was a young master from a rich family, and he hadn't suffered much. But now that the situation had changed, he had no choice but to endure it. If he didn't, he wouldn't be able to protect his family. "Good, I didn't misjudge you, my brother. Let's continue moving forward." Zilong had learned the sky-devouring skill, and he could slowly study it along the way and try to devour the demon beast's crystal core. Everything was difficult at the beginning, and as long as he succeeded the first time, the rest would be easy. The heavenly demon energy in this forest was extremely dense. Perhaps because of this, heavenly demon beasts that were much stronger than ordinary demon beasts were born here. These demon beasts had absorbed the heavenly demon energy and possessed the heavenly demon energy. Although their cultivation level wouldn't increase, their combat strength would become stronger. Compared to demon beasts of the same cultivation level, they were much more ferocious. This was similar to the bloodthirsty demon beasts in the bloodthirsty battlefield who were affected by the murderous aura. After walking for another mile or so, a huge monster suddenly jumped out of the dense forest. It was a frightening heavenly demon bear. It was about 8 meters tall, and its huge body contained a power that could destroy everything in its path. Its eyes were glowing with a blood-red light, and it was emitting a ferocious, killing intent. Any martial artist who barged into this forest had to die. This was the territory of heavenly demon beasts, and they hated human warriors even more than ordinary demon beasts. Furthermore, it could sense that the 3 men in front of it were all pretty strong demon beasts. If it could devour them, it might be able to increase its strength. In this heavenly demon forest, it would be able to rule over everything. Great Earth Demon Bear, this guy's combat strength is really strong. Ling Xiao stared the monster in front of him, and he was eager to fight it. This Great Earth Demon Bear was an early 7th Divine Core Demon Beast. Such a powerful monster would definitely be of great help to his cultivation. Sister Qinya, Zilong, you two deal with the cubs it brought here. Leave this guy to me. Ling Xiao said, Understood. Although Qinya was worried when she thought about Ling Xiao's frightening combat strength in the Purple Palace Kingdom. She had miraculously performed a miraculous feat. She didn't want to waste any more time talking. Together with Zilong, they blocked off the heavenly demon bear's army. This demonic earth bear seems to have absorbed a lot more heavenly demonic chi than the previous demonic tiger. His feet had turned into the appearance of a heavenly demon, and strange demonic wings had appeared on his back. Although it wasn't big, if it continued to change, it would probably become a true heavenly demon. It's been a long time since I've absorbed heavenly demonic chi. It's a good opportunity to play with it. Ling Xiao stared at the demonic earth bear in front of him and launched an attack. The battle lasted for half an hour. In the end, Ling Xiao completely defeated the demonic earth bear with a single fiend god seal. Then, it swallowed the demonic earth bear's core. Black energy surged within his body. After a long time, he smiled. The energy in his sea of cultivation had increased to 60%. It seemed like coming here was the right choice. If an earthen bear alone could bring him such a huge improvement, then perhaps a breakthrough wouldn't be impossible. By the time his battle ended, Qinya and Zilong's battle had also ended. The purple dragon was devouring the demonic beast cores. With the heaven-swallowing art, Ling Xiao no longer needed to purify the demonic beast's crystal core. After all, Zilong's martial soul was a divine dragon. Although he was a low-rank divine dragon, he was still a dragon. The strength of his bloodline was much stronger than ordinary demonic beasts. The heaven-swallowing art was the best for him to cultivate. After another half an hour, Zilong's cultivation had broken through to the late 3rd divine core realm. This speed was much faster than simply cultivating. Of course, it was also very dangerous and painful, because every time Zilong devoured the demonic beast's crystal core, he would feel a pain that made him wish he was dead. If he couldn't endure it, he would be dead for sure. The heaven-swallowing art was a torturous skill, but it was also a heaven-defying cultivation skill. Can you still endure it? Ling Xiao asked. Yes, Zilong said while gritting his teeth. Good, let's continue. Ling Xiao really wanted to see a demonic beast similar to the demonic earth bear again. Ha ha ha, this is awesome. Although that heavenly devil giant serpent's power is at the same level, it is still extremely powerful. Although the demonic earth bear was similar to the demonic earth bear, with the combined strength of all 20 of us, we finally killed it. Besides, the demonic earth bear's demon crystal core is a great supplement for us, a devil cultivator. In just a short period of time, my stagnant cultivation has broken through the bottleneck. I've reached the mid-6th divine core realm. About 10 miles away from Ling Xiao and the group, Lu Yi was looking at the dead body of a demonic earth bear in front of him excitedly. Bai Tianyu nodded his head and said, "Me too. Looks like we've made the right choice this time. Us devil cultivators are different from the other cultivators. We're just like half demons. We're not welcomed by anyone. But if we become invincible, who will dare to look down on us?" "That's right. If this continues, it won't be a problem for us to break through to the peak 6th divine core realm in a short period of time. At that point of time, even the king of Z Palace will be no match for us," Lu Yi said excitedly. It had to be said that these people were a little too arrogant. This heavenly devil python was only at the early 6th divine core realm. It was much weaker than the demonic earth bear. If they knew that the demonic earth bear was killed by Ling Xiao alone, what would they think? "Let's continue." Bai Tianyu called out to the group and continued walking. "Brother Bai, what do you think we should do if we encounter other warriors?" Lu Yi suddenly asked. He had smelled the scent of other humans. "What else can we do? Of course, we'll kill them. There are only a few devil cultivators. We can't be careless," Bai Tianyu said with a cold voice. Along the way, Ling Xiao and the group had encountered many frightening devil beasts, but they managed to survive. The energy in Ling Xiao's cultivation ocean had increased to 70%. Zilong was an early 4th divine core warrior, and with the help of the blood sovereign armor, he could unleash the combat strength of an early 5th divine core warrior. Zi Qianya's cultivation hadn't increased, but he had become more familiar with his combat strength. "What is that?" Suddenly, Zilong cried out in shock. Ling Xiao raised his head and looked over. What he saw startled him as well. A frightening skeleton that was 100 times bigger than the Blood Thunder Bull Devil skeleton had appeared a few hundred meters away. The skeleton stood there like a towering mountain. Only those who stood far away could see it clearly. It was a gigantic heavenly devil. If they stood in front of it, they wouldn't even be as long as its fingernail. Ling Xiao had seen heavenly devils before, but they were all transformed heavenly devils. None of them were as huge as this one. From this, it could be seen that heavenly devils were different species from the beast race. Different species would have different forms. Although it had been dead for more than 10,000 years, they could still feel the frightening pressure coming from the skeleton. Zi Qianya and Zi Long were both trembling, and they kept stepping back. Ling Xiao almost knelt down at first. But at this critical moment, the martial soul of Tyrant Heavens had a miraculous effect. The aura of supremacy instantly shattered the pressure brought by the heavenly demon skeleton. Chapter 3869. This terrifying pressure, it belongs to a real heavenly devil. I wonder what kind of race this heavenly devil is. Why is it so terrifying? Why did it have to come to the mystic world? Zi Qianya took a deep breath. He could still remember the trembling he felt just now. That's right, this is terrifying. This heavenly devil has been dead for so long, but it still has such a terrifying pressure. I wonder how terrifying it was when it was still alive. How did the human martial artists kill him? Zilong was shocked as well. Did you notice? There is a strange herb growing on the heavenly devil skeleton. It's called the heavenly devil herb. It can only grow from the heavenly devil's blood and flesh. It contains a rich amount of heavenly devil energy. If you can concoct it into a heavenly devil pill, it can greatly increase the strength of your body. Also, the heavenly devil energy will be born in your body. The heavenly devil energy can be used for both offense and defense. It's similar to a magical treasure. If you're lucky, you can even cultivate the heavenly devil combat body, and your true yuan will be completely transformed into heavenly devil energy. You will be at least 10 times stronger than your opponent at the same cultivation level, or even dozens of times stronger. Ling Xiao was an alchemist. That's why he knew all this. Of course, the heavenly devil essence is even more valuable than the heavenly devil herb. The heavenly devil essence is formed from the heavenly devil's inner core. It has the same effect as the heavenly devil herb, but it's 100 times stronger. This is great. Looks like we've really found some precious treasures this time. We didn't come here in vain. When Ziqinya heard what Ling Xiao said, he couldn't help but become excited. Ha 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 ha, I didn't expect someone to be here before us. But we'll take both the heavenly devil essence and the heavenly devil herb. Suddenly, a wild laughter sounded out from another direction. 20 men appeared at the same time. The 2 men leading the group were Bai Tianyu and Lu Yi, the men Ling Xiao and the others had seen before. Both men had broken through to the late 6th divine core realm at the same time. It looked like their cultivation method wasn't ordinary as well. Bai Tianyu, Lu Yi, do you think I, Ziqinya, am not here? Ziqinya said with a cold voice. Little girl, if you don't want to die, bring your 2 brothers and get the hell out of here. Everything here belongs to us. Bai Tianyu glared at Ziqinya. He was much older than Ziqinya. In fact, he was already 100 years old. Therefore, there was nothing wrong with calling Ziqinya a little girl. What a joke! You, Bai Tianyu, are just a mortal core warrior. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Now that Ziqinya's strength had increased greatly, he was looking for someone to spar with. The Blood Sun Kingdoms, Bai Tianyu, had given her a lot of trouble. This was because the Purple Spirit Kingdom and the Blood Sun Kingdom were neighbors. Bai Tianyu was also the great general of the Blood Sun small country, and often led his army to invade. It gave her a headache. Now that her strength had skyrocketed, she really wanted to vent all the grievances she had suffered all these years. Ziqinya, I heard that you were captured by Gu Fenghua. Although I don't know how you managed to get the information out of her, I don't know. However, since he had already escaped, he should cherish his life and not cause trouble for no reason. You're just an early 6th divine core warrior. Even if you have the Blood Sovereign armor, you won't be a match for us if we join forces. Lu Yi also spoke up. They did not put Zilong and Ling Xiao in their eyes at all. A bunch of idiots, all you know is nonsense. I think the ones who should scram are you. Zilong couldn't help but scold. Buddy, you're Ziqinya's younger brother, right? How dare you scold us? Fine, you don't have to scram. Just prepare to die. A cold expression emerged in Bai Tianyu's eyes. Die. Brother Ling Xiao, did you hear that? He said, he wants to kill us. Zilong sneered. How dare a few pieces of trash act so arrogantly in front of us? You guys don't know what's good for you. I'll give you 10 breaths of time to scram. If you don't even think about leaving. Ling Xiao's temper was even worse than Zilong and Ziqinya's, especially when these people kept saying that they wanted to kill him. He would never pretend that he didn't hear anything. Did you hear that? Brother Ling Xiao asked you to scram within 10 breaths of time. Zilong mocked. Buddy, I think I've heard of your name before. You're Ziqinya's younger brother, right? I think you've also robbed the ancient Dongxing Emperor's treasure. Looks like we're going to be lucky today. Bai Tianyu looked at Ling Xiao with a sinister smile. The things that Gu Fenghua can't get will belong to us. Even Ziqinya won't be able to protect you today. Just wait for your death. After saying that, a demonic figure appeared behind Bai Tianyu. This guy's martial soul was indeed a little strange. It was emitting a dense, demonic aura. I was wondering who you were. So you're the bastards left behind by the heavenly demons. No wonder you're so arrogant. Ling Xiao saw the truth from the martial soul. Since you've seen through us, then all the more reason for you to die here today. We're the legendary human demons. The descendants of the heavenly demons possess the noble bloodline of the heavenly demons. You humans will die at our hands sooner or later. The heavenly demons haven't come to the mystic world for 100,000 years. But you just have to wait. One day they will come. At that time, you lowly humans will become the slaves of the heavenly demons. Bai Tianyu seemed very proud when he mentioned the heavenly demons. Is your mother also a heavenly demon? Ling Xiao asked curiously. My mother? She's just a lowly reproductive tool. There's no need to talk about it. Bai Tianyu said in disdain. You bastard, you're simply a scum. Not only did you forget your human bloodline, You even humiliated your own mother. It seems that if I don't kill you today, I won't be able to sleep well. Ling Xiao hated people who forgot their ancestors the most, especially those who dared to humiliate his own mother. Reproductive tool? Scum, he's simply a scum. White bear, that little guy called you a scum. Lu Yi laughed. Humph, kid, do you have the guts to report your sect and family? I dare to guarantee that after you die, they'll definitely go down to accompany you in death. Bai Tianyu snorted coldly. He was obviously furious. Boom! Suddenly, Bai Tianyu stomped on the ground. A crack appeared on the ground. Then he threw a terrifying punch at Ling Xiao. Behind him, the strange demonic figure actually cracked open its mouth and revealed a sinister smile. Brother Ling Xiao, be careful. These human demons aren't easy to deal with, Zilong reminded. He knew that Ling Xiao was very strong, but he didn't know how strong he was. After all, Ling Xiao didn't tell him about what happened in the Purple Mansion royal capital. Therefore, he wasn't too sure. If he really saw how Ling Xiao beat Gu Fenghua half to death, he probably wouldn't be worried anymore. This Bai Tianyu was nothing in front of Ling Xiao. Desolate, ancient, demonic fist. Bai Tianyu's body seemed to be wrapped by the shadow of a heavenly demon. The fist that he threw out was also like the fist of a heavenly demon. His figure was similar to the way a heavenly demon moved. The strangest thing was that his battle intent actually contained the will of a heavenly demon. As expected, it was the bloodline left behind by a heavenly demon. Chapter 3870. Too slow. You're too weak. Facing Bai Tianyu's attack, Ling Xiao didn't even have any interest in fighting. He casually pointed his finger forward. A sharp sword energy pierced through the air. Not good. Bai Tianyu was startled, and he immediately circulated the energy in his body. Movement of the devil's shadow. He gave up on attacking and used all his energy to dodge the attack. In an instant, wisps of black smoke emerged from his body. He had actually entered the devilized state. His combat strength had skyrocketed, and he had almost reached the level of an early 7th divine core warrior. This surprised Ling Xiao, but his finger attack wasn't something that could be dodged by anyone. Bai Tianyu had entered the devilized state too late. His shoulder blade was still pierced through by the sword energy. The pain caused him to scream out in agony. How is this possible? Bai Tianyu, be serious. He's just a little bastard, and you've already used the movement of the devil's shadow and the devilized state. Lu Yi furrowed his brows and shouted out, What do you know? This guy is very strange. Everyone enter the devilized state. Kill these guys. Bai Tianyu roared out while healing his wounds. After just one fight, he knew that Ling Xiao wasn't someone to be trifled with. All right. Lu Yi immediately entered the devilized state as well. He looked at Zi Qinya with an indifferent expression and said, Little girl, you have one last chance. Either get the hell out of here or die. Why do I feel like you're panicking? Zi Qinya mocked. Let me tell you something. Ling Xiao is stronger than me. Bai Tianyu has offended him today, and he's dead for sure. Zilong, you deal with the rest of them. I'll handle this guy. With the Blood Sovereign armor, Zilong's combat strength could reach the early 5th Divine Core Realm. Apart from Bai Tianyu and Lu Yi, the strongest among them was only an early 5th Divine Core Warrior. The rest of them were all at the 4th Divine Core Realm. Therefore, although it was a bit difficult for Zilong, it wasn't impossible. Don't worry, big sister, I'm no longer the old me. Along the way, not only had Zilong improved his cultivation, he had also improved his combat skills. Tempering himself in the midst of life and death had greatly improved his strength. That's great. Zi Qinya smiled and released his martial soul. It was also a purple dragon. However, his aura was clearly much stronger than the purple dragon's. Her hands had turned into sharp dragon claws. The sharp light made Lu Yi frown again and again. Fine. Little girl, since you don't know the immensity of heaven and earth and insist on seeking death, don't blame me then. Lu Yi snorted and leaped towards Zi Qianyi. After demonizing, his combat strength was equivalent to an ordinary early 7th divine core warrior. Although he wasn't as strong as Zi Qianyi, he was more adept at controlling his strength. After all, it hadn't been long since Zi Qianyi had reached this level of strength. It would probably take a long time for him to get used to it. Human demons had always been cruel and bloodthirsty. Killing was nothing to them. Under the temptation of those treasures, their true ferocity erupted. All of them charged towards the purple dragon. Lu Yi charged towards Zi Qianyi. His first move was a killing move. "Little girl, we fought 3 years ago. At that time, you lost miserably. I really don't know where you get your confidence from. Don't tell me that after 3 years you're already my match?" While defending against Lu Ye's attack, Zi Qianyi was also familiarizing himself with his strength. His sharp dragon claws were grabbing towards Lu Ye's head. He was going to leave a bloody hole in Lu Ye's head. "Soon, you'll know how much I've improved." What a joke! Lu Ye's hands changed as well. They turned into pitch-black devil claws and clashed with Zi Qianyi's dragon claws. The devil claws were pitch-black, and they were emitting a gloomy aura. It gave people the feeling that they were made for killing. Clang! The devil claws and dragon claws clashed in the air, producing a loud metal clashing sound. Blood Devil Seal! Zi Qianyi let out a cold snort. After taking a few steps back, he struck out with his dragon claws. The frightening Blood Devil Seal was unleashed, and it smashed towards Lu Ye's head. Devil Eye! At this critical moment, a devil eye suddenly grew out from Lu Ye's forehead. The devil eye unleashed a sharp red beam and hit the celestial devil seal. Their attacks collided once again. Then they shattered. Surprisingly, they were evenly matched in both attacks. On the other side, Bai Tianyu launched another attack. His devil claws clawed out continuously, forming claw shadows that filled the sky. His terrifying speed coupled with his terrifying attack power. In addition, he had a pair of powerful devil wings. Ling Xiao was forced to retreat step by step. Bai Tianyu finally revealed a look of excitement. However, Zilong and Zi Qianyi were not worried at all, because Ling Xiao had yet to transform. Both of them knew very well that Ling Xiao's battle prowess was the most terrifying when he transformed. However, even without transforming, Ling Xiao was able to block all of Bai Tianyu's attacks with the Blood Supreme Sword. Ling Xiao was purposely squeezing out his potential. The sense of danger would only be stronger if he fought without transforming. In this way, his potential would erupt faster. More importantly, Bai Tianyu was not worthy of his transformation. Bai Tianyu's devilization did cause his combat strength to skyrocket, but his speed was still slower than Jiang Chen's Falling Plum, Clear Shadow Steps, and Cosmic Body. Why is this guy so fast? After a series of storm-like attacks, Bai Tianyu suddenly stopped. "Kid, I've really underestimated you. You don't look like much, but you actually possess such terrifying strength. But did you know? A completely devilized human devil is extremely terrifying. I can give my everything to a heavenly devil." Bai Tianyu sneered. Then his body started transforming again. Originally, he still looked like a human, but in just a short moment, his skin had turned black. His arms and legs had turned into the hands and feet of a heavenly devil. Even his face had turned into a malevolent, sheep-bodied demon. He no longer looked like a human. Of course, what replaced it was a terrifying strength. Mid-7th Divine Core Realm? Ling Xiao furrowed his brows. He could sense that Bai Tianyu's soul had turned completely black. He had given his everything to a heavenly devil. Under such circumstances, his combat strength would skyrocket. But after the battle, his combat strength would drop drastically, and he would be severely injured. This was the price he had to pay. It was similar to Ling Xiao's sanguine rat devil. They were both devils, and they felt the same. Ha 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 ha, this feeling is great. This is great. Kid, in less than 3 minutes, Daddy will eat you alive. Die, kid. Suddenly, his body trembled in midair, Then he was blasted away like a cannonball. His speed had reached an extreme. A pair of devil claws grabbed toward Ling Xiao's head. And so fast! Ling Xiao furrowed his brows. A completely devilized human was indeed powerful. 10 swords merge. In an instant, 10 bright sword beams shot out from Ling Xiao's hand. Then they merged into one. He shot out. Chapter 3871. It's useless. Bai Tianyu sneered and shattered the sword light with his terrifying claws. Then he landed a heavy blow on Ling Xiao's body. Boom! A terrifying explosion sounded. Ling Xiao took a few steps back. However, he was not injured. Your defense is quite strong. You can defend against it once, but can you defend against it a second time? Whoosh! A black shadow flew out from behind Bai Tianyu. It was actually a tail. It entangled Ling Xiao. It did not give Ling Xiao any chance to dodge. Let's see how you dodge. Go to hell. Bloodthirsty demon fist. The terrifying fist landed on Ling Xiao's body. It was like a storm. On the other side, Lu Yi sneered. Ziqinya, did you see that? Your god brother is done for. I told you that Bai Tianyu is stronger than me. Among us, he is the only one who can completely transform into a demon. That little guy is dead for sure. Ziqinya sneered. A frog at the bottom of a well. You always think that you know more than others, but you don't know that you can only see a small part of the sky. As soon as Ziqinya finished speaking, Bai Tianyu's attack had also ended. Over 100 punches landed solidly on Ling Xiao's body. All the human demons thought that Ling Xiao was dead for sure. However, the smoke and dust dissipated. Only a trace of blood flowed down from the corner of Ling Xiao's mouth. You really disappoint me. Such an attack can't even increase the energy in my cultivation C by 10%. It seems that my anticipation was in vain. It's time for this battle to end. Ling Xiao wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth with his thumb. Blood lightning bull demon. Beast soul transformation. Boom! A terrifying explosion sounded. In an instant, before Bai Tianyu could even see what had happened, he was sent flying. What's going on? You're a beast god. Bai Tianyu spat out a mouthful of blood. Just the power of this attack was more terrifying than his hundreds of attacks. Bai Tianyu's face turned ugly. Didn't I tell you? I was just playing with you. If I had fun, I might have spared your life, but you let me down too much. Ling Xiao sneered in his beast soul transformation state. Plum blossom acupuncture hand. Whoosh! Pa! Streams of light shot out from his fingertips. It pierced through Bai Tianyu's body. As for Bai Tianyu, he stood there unable to move. Although he could still move his eyeballs and speak, he couldn't use his true essence. He couldn't move his body. It was simply a situation where they were at the mercy of others. How could he lose? This scene gave Lu Yi a fright, and he was somewhat distracted. In the end, Ziqinya seized the opportunity and sent him flying hundreds of feet away with a palm strike. He coughed up blood. Retreat! All of you retreat! Lu Yi turned around and fled. He completely ignored Bai Tianyu. That was because he knew that if he ran a little slower, he wouldn't even have a chance to survive. At this time, Zilong had also killed 3 people. The rest fled with Lu Yi. Only Bai Tianyu was immobilized by Ling Xiao's plum blossom acupuncture hand. Don't be so afraid. I won't kill you. A living Bai Tianyu is more useful to me than a dead Bai Tianyu. Ling Xiao looked at Bai Tianyu and smiled faintly. What are you trying to do? Bai Tianyu asked. Submit to me. Ling Xiao said coldly. Submit to you? You're just a nobody. What right do you have to make me submit to you? Bai Tianyu said in disdain. I thought you were still useful, but you're actually so blind. Since that's the case, Ling Xiao sneered and swung the blood supreme sword, directly chopping off Bai Tianyu's head. Bai Tianyu regretted it the moment he died. Originally, he just wanted to show off his firm will and ask for more negotiation terms for himself. But he didn't expect that Ling Xiao wouldn't even negotiate with him. He actually killed him with a single strike. It was too late for regrets. Collect the heavenly demon herbs. Ling Xiao ordered Zi Qinya and Zi Long. The two of them hurriedly went to pluck the heavenly demon herbs from the heavenly demon bones. There was a total of 64 sticks, and all of them were handed over to Ling Xiao. With these things, I believe our strength will skyrocket. As for the heavenly demon bones, I'll take them. Ling Xiao waved his hand, and the heavenly demon bones were directly trapped in the mountain river world. Next, let's cultivate here. Cultivating and fighting at the same time is more beneficial to the absorption of the heavenly demon herbs. Help me guard while I refine the heavenly demon herbs into heavenly demon pills. This way, the medicinal effect will be better. With that, Ling Xiao sat down cross-legged. Refining pills required concentration. A powerful immortal fire bloomed from Ling Xiao's hands. 64 heavenly demon herbs and more than 1,000 supplementary herbs danced in the flames, constantly refining, constantly changing. After a full 3 hours, the supplementary herbs and heavenly demon herbs were completely removed and replaced with 64 heavenly demon pills. All right, each of you take 1 heavenly demon pill. Just this 1 pill alone is probably enough for Zi Long to break through again, and it's very likely that he'll cultivate the heavenly demon battle physique. Although Sister Qinya can't break through, with your aptitude, it's also very likely that you'll cultivate the heavenly demon battle physique. After speaking, Ling Xiao gave the heavenly demon pills to the two of them. Then he began to cultivate himself. However, what he used for cultivation was not the heavenly demon pills. It was the heavenly demon bones. The heavenly demon bones contain the heavenly demon essence. Together, not only could it improve Ling Xiao's black tortoise divine physique again, and it was very likely that he'd cultivate the heavenly demon bone. The so-called heavenly demon bone was just a name. It was a layer of black bone attached to the surface of the body. Like a close-fitting armor, it could greatly increase a martial artist's defense. Ling Xiao's current physical strength had reached high-level 6th Order Emperor with the help of the black tortoise divine physique. But it was not enough, because this strength was still vulnerable against Gu Fenghua. So he had to strengthen it. He closed his eyes and began to absorb the energy of the heavenly demon bones. This terrifying energy poured into his meridians like a torrential river. It poured into his body. On one hand, it was frantically tempering his physical body. On the other hand, it continued to strengthen every cell of his. This energy is indeed terrifying. Just feeling it for a while, Ling Xiao was very surprised. This amount of energy was definitely enough for him to strengthen his physical body a few times. It might even allow his cultivation to break through. The energy in the heavenly demon bones was divided into 3 parts. 1 part was tempering the physical body. 1 part was strengthening the cells and turning them into potential. 1 part flowed into the cultivation sea. With the 3-pronged approach, the effect was simply violent. An hour passed. 2 hours passed. 3 hours passed. A day passed. Ling Xiao was still immersed in cultivation. Zi Long and Zi Qinya were also refining the heavenly demon pills. At this time, on a tree a mile away from them, Lu Yi and the others looked over viciously, revealing greedy and angry expressions. Chapter 3872. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 days had passed. Gu Fenghua, who had always harbored resentment, had finally recovered from his injuries. He had recovered even earlier than Ling Xiao had predicted. He stood coldly on the tallest pavilion in the Purple Mansion Royal Capital, looking in the direction of Purple Spirit Capital. The shadow of that failure still shrouded his heart. If he could not kill Ling Xiao, he would probably never be able to recover from this shadow in this lifetime. He could only live in incomparable pain and torment. It would even have an immeasurable and terrifying impact on his martial path. His cultivation might stagnate from then on. So Ling Xiao was his inner demon, a demon that had to be eliminated. Qin Yu, immediately lead the Purple Mansion army and besiege Purple Spirit Capital. I want to use Ling Xiao's blood to wash away my humiliation. Suddenly, Gu Fenghua said to Qin Yu, "Yes, sir." Qin Yu naturally did not dare to disobey Gu Fenghua's orders. Gu Fenghua had suffered a loss at the hands of Ling Xiao, but in the end he had underestimated his opponent. An existence at the peak of the Earth Core realm was definitely not someone a Golden Core realm warrior like Ling Xiao could contend against. So he still chose Gu Fenghua. Moreover, Gu Fenghua was backed by the Dongxing Strong Country. Even if Ling Xiao was really heaven-defying and killed Gu Fenghua, facing the terrifying Dongxing Strong Country, wasn't there still no chance of victory? The Purple Mansion army was quickly assembled. With Gu Fenghua in the lead, Qin Yu, the Purple Mansion Marshal, the Purple Mansion Academy Principal, and the only remaining General Pan Feng, followed by his left and right. They marched towards the Purple Spirit Capital City in a grandiose fashion. This Purple Mansion army only had 1 million people, but they were all elites of the elites. Their speed was relatively fast. As for the main group, they were still following behind. The total number was over 10 million. Gu Fenghua not only wanted to kill Ling Xiao, but also wanted to destroy Purple Spirit Country, make this country completely disappear from the map. Only this could relieve the depression and pain in his heart. The vanguard advanced for 10 miles before Gu Fenghua suddenly ordered the army to stop. They stared blankly at a huge white eagle in the sky. A woman sat gently on the white eagle. She was a fairy who could captivate and bewitch all living beings. She wore a light blue gown. Her elegant temperament made her seem like an otherworldly woman. That peerlessly beautiful face seemed to have been drawn by an immortal, although he did not release any aura. However, that graceful and noble temperament was definitely not something that ordinary women could compare with. Gu Fenghua thought of her junior sister, Qing Moshue, although it might be disrespectful to the dead. However, Qing Moshue was the disciple of the Dongxing Strong Country's emperor. She was also from a noble family. In front of this woman, she was as vulgar as a village girl. He no longer had that transcendent feeling of an immortal. Everyone was dumbfounded. Gu Fenghua was a relatively clear-headed person. What emerged in his heart was not admiration but fear. Such a woman could only be nurtured by top forces like the Golden Heavenly Nation and the Eternal Palace. Moreover, even the women from the Golden Heavenly Nation and the Eternal Life Palace did not have the unique temperament of this woman. Suddenly, the white eagle swooped down. It set off a terrifying gust of wind. He blew so hard that everyone couldn't stand still, but no one dared to complain. As expected, a beautiful woman was always easy to forgive. Gu Fenghua hurriedly jumped off the battle beast. He knelt on one knee and said, "I didn't know that an esteemed guest had arrived. Please forgive me. I am the prince of the Dongxing Strong Country, Gu Fenghua. Greetings, esteemed guest. May I know the purpose of your visit?" When he asked this question, he was trembling with fear, afraid of offending this woman. Although this woman was as transcendent as an immortal, as if she was not a woman of the mortal world. But he was very clear. In the mystic world, experts seemed to be neither angry nor angry, but in the blink of an eye, they could turn an entire army into ashes. If he offended this woman, he would probably become a corpse in an instant. At this moment, the experts behind him also came to their senses. They all jumped off their puppet battle beasts and knelt down to this woman. They did not have Gu Fenghua's eyesight, but they knew that this woman was extraordinary. Perhaps she was one of those terrifying existences that could not be profaned. Even if they had evil intentions, they could not show it. No need to be so polite. Rise. The woman's voice was indifferent and gentle, as if she was talking to her own people. However, there was a hint of arrogance in her indifference. "Thank you, esteemed guest." Gu Fenghua stood up, trembling with fear, but did not dare to raise her head to look at this woman. It was as if one would be completely immersed in her with just a glance. "I'm looking for someone," the woman said indifferently. Looking for someone? What kind of person could cause such a transcendent being to look for him? It must be a super-existence of the same level. Gu Fenghua thought to herself. The person I'm looking for is called Ling Xiao. He seems to be in Zi Fu Kingdom. The woman was Yu Fenghua. After going to Meng Village, she heard that Ling Xiao had arrived in Ziling Kingdom, so she went to Ziling capital city. However, although the people there were afraid of her, they all said that Ling Xiao was not there. So she could only go to Zi Fu Kingdom to look for him. On the way, she met this group of people. It was a good opportunity to ask. In fact, she did not know that the people in Ziling capital city did not tell her the truth in order to protect Ling Xiao. After all, no one knew that she was Ling Xiao's lover. At this moment, Gu Fenghua's head seemed to explode. Ling Xiao? How could it be Ling Xiao? Could it be that they just have the same name? He absolutely could not admit that this woman was looking for Ling Xiao, that nobody. He could not accept it. Esteemed guest, what does Ling Xiao look like? Can you describe him? Gu Fenghua asked carefully. Yu Fenghua simply took out Ling Xiao's portrait. This portrait was extremely realistic, and it was 90% similar to Ling Xiao. Seeing the portrait, Gu Fenghua was in complete despair. She was actually looking for that nobody. Why? He was the prince of Dongshin Kingdom, but he could not compare to a tiny Ling Xiao. He really could not accept it. The others were also very surprised, but they all shut their mouths and did not say anything. What kind of joke was this? They had all besieged Ling Xiao before. If this woman knew, wouldn't they be dead? Gu Fenghua pretended to look carefully for a moment. Then she shook her head and said, I'm sorry, although I really want to find this person for you. However, this person really did not appear before. There are many people with the same name, but unfortunately it's not him. Oh right, I've heard of this person, but he's not in Zi Fu Kingdom. He went to the Savage Beast region. Chen Yu suddenly spoke up. Savage Beast region? Yu Fenghua was stunned. She suddenly remembered something that Haim, Mian Ko, told her. Ling Xiao's friends were taken away by the beasts in the Savage Beast region. They might really have gone to that place. After all, the Golden Sky region and the Savage Beast region bordered each other. It was much easier to reach the Savage Beast region from here than the Eternal Emperor region. Looks like I can only make a trip to the Savage Beast region. No matter what, knowing that he's not dead is a good thing. Yu Fenghua thought to herself.